Next on Saratoga Live, he became a fan favorite at Saratoga for his exploits at this iconic racetrack. The 4-star Dave is today's feature race. Will share his amazing story. Voodoo Song accomplished something that Saratoga hadn't seen in over 60 years last summer. 4 wins at the summer meet. Now comes its first Grade 1 test. Heart to Heart is almost impossible to beat when on the lead. Will the multiple Grade 1 winner be as effective from a stalking position, which is likely the case? The great Lure won back-to-back Breeders' Cup miles. We'll look back on his dominance and the story of his Hall of Fame trainer, Shug McGahee. In today's Lure, Projected enters the mix as the one to beat for the meet's leading trainer. But he'll need to turn the tables on a few familiar faces if he hopes to get his picture taken this afternoon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Saturday edition of Saratoga Live. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Great to have you with us on a sensational Saturday of stakes action coming up at the premier race meet in the entire country here in Saratoga Springs, New York. Great to have you with us, and a great crowd on hand. Of course, the 4-star Dave, our feature race to come. Grade 1 action on the turf, and it is going to be a soggy turf course coming up for this event this afternoon. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, one of the top trainers in the country, Tom Amos, and so intriguing to see this feature come up. You know, Voodoo Song was one of my favorites from last summer. He accomplished something that we hadn't seen since Native Dancer back in 1952, winning 4 races in a single meet. He's never lost here on the turf, but this is going to be his toughest test yet.
It is his toughest test, and it doesn't really matter where he finishes today because he's a terrific racehorse. And obviously what he accomplished last year, they can never take that away from him. And it may be a long, long time, if ever, before it happens again. But I'm going to tell you something about Voodoo Song. He's actually a better horse in 2018 as a 4-year-old than he was last year. He's been keeping good company. He showed 2 races back. He doesn't need the lead to run extremely well against very, very good horses. This is his sternest test yet, and I'm not going to say he's going to be up to winning this race, but Voodoo Song is a wonderful racehorse.
He has never lost here at Saratoga. Perfect 4 for 4. Another horse who has never lost on this turf course. That is Heart to Heart. We know how great he is when he's on the front end. He likely is not going to be on the front end in this race.
Now be careful with that statement because he's brilliant and quick out of that gate, and he runs some opening quarters that very few horses can keep up with. But you can't talk about Voodoo Song without talking about Heart to Heart. They are matched at the hip in this race because they both want to do the same thing. They both want to use their speed. They want to run the field off their feet a little bit and try to last on the end. The difference between the two is Heart to Heart, who's made almost $2 million in his career, knows how to use those quick opening fractions and keeps lasting.
Another variable thrown into the mix. Got a little bit of rain coming down from the skies on 4-star Dave Day, and who will take to a turf course with a little give in it this afternoon? That's going to be the big question as well. Get signed up, get started, play all these races that we show you each and every day here on Saratoga Live. $200 new member sign-up bonus going on. Use that promo code Saratoga Live to get started. Download the NYRABets app or go to NYRABets.com. We're going to kick things off here. Race 7, it also starts the NYRABets late pick 5. 5.5 furlongs on the turf coming up. Race 8, that is the Grade 1 4-star Dave at a mile over the inner turf. 9th race, we will be on the main track, and that 10th is the Fasig-Tipton Lure, a mile and a 16th on the grass. Track conditions, they are brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of the Saratoga race course. Piranha on, pests gone, main track is good. Turf condition listed as good as well for today's action. Coming up, we're going to check in now with Maggie Wolfendale for the first time this afternoon. Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Greg, and the bad hair days continue here at the spa. As Voodoo Song, he'll come in off of that Forbidden Apple victory in which he was able, in Voodoo Song's terms, to walk the dog. I mean, this is a horse that is capable of going 44 and change to the mile, and he was able to do 46 and change. So that's kind of like doing 50 for him. So we'll see. He's not going to be able to do that here once again with Heart to Heart being to his inside. But he did beat a horse that's actually going to show up a little bit later on our card in the Lure, which was canceled last Saturday, brought back for today. And once again, we are seeing a course that has some give in it, but Projected is a horse that, well, he's okay on this type of turf course, but he'll look to be the probable favorite for trainer Chad Brown going as the Lures race number 10. So looking forward to both of these turf events as we'll check in with Gabby Gaudet.
Thanks very much, Maggie. Well, here back at the Naira Bet Simulcast Center, where the 4-Star Dave Handicapping Challenge is well underway. Bettors here have been partaking in the races so far on today's card. And just talking a little bit about the rules today, it's a $2,000 entry fee. $1,000 goes towards your live bankroll. The other $1,000 goes to the prize pool. And the rules, you have to bet at least $200 each and every race here at Saratoga only. So a couple of the prizes that are up for grabs for first place is over $50,000. Some other prizes, 1 seat towards the Belmont Stakes Handicapping Challenge and 3 seats to the NHC. So there's a lot of things going on here, but right now Dave Nichols has opened up over a $7,000 lead. He was actually second in yesterday's tournament going into the last race and just kind of fell down the ladder, so to speak. But right now he's opening up a significant lead, so it'll be fun to play along today and kind of pay attention to see how things change going into the last race, Greg.
All right, Gabby, thank you. Yeah, a lot of money on the line. The minimum first place prize, $25,000, and of course seats to more lucrative tournaments as well down the line. It's race 7. To kick off this Naira Bets Late Pick 5, this is a great wagering race, as the board would show you right there. 4-1 is our current favorite in Munchkin Money. You make a case for a lot of them in here, Andy.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I could argue this is the most interesting betting race of the day. Tom, I think you could bet a lot of horses here. My question to you, the 9 Munchkin Money. His trainer, Brian Lynch, has a terrific record with horses coming off layoffs, but this is a tall task for a horse off a layoff. Can she do it?
Tall task for a horse coming off a layoff, and safe to say that off that last win, which was back in December the 7th, stepping up in class a bit today, coming out of those state-bred type of races. Look, that was a good win. Saved all the ground that day. Not going to get that kind of trip today against these open company horses from the post position 9.
I do feel as though she had some excuses in other races. I think she's the one to beat, but the layoff always worries you.
But we know she can win off the bench. She's done it before. She was off from October 2016. She went to a new barn. She came back in July of 2017. She got the job done, and she did so impressively.
No, I agree, and that's a very good point. She is going a half a furlong less than she's ever gone before, but she's passed all the tests in shorter races. And looking at her PPs, isn't there a fair argument that she's better the shorter she goes?
It could be. I mean, she's been favored in her last 5 starts. Not today. This is a different group, and I think that is important to note.
Naira Bets Late Pick 5. It begins right here in race 7. It's become arguably the best bet in all of racing. 114,000 plus already in the pool. If you're the only winning ticket on this Saturday afternoon, it doesn't matter how much money is bet into that pool. You are guaranteed a minimum single ticket payout of $300,000 as we take a look at how Tom Amos decided to play it.
Yeah, look, part of this ticket is because I wanted to keep the cost down. We've got some tough events going in, but I really found a nice single in the 10th race. I like Inspector Lindley in the Lure today, and I'm going to narrow it down in the last as well. I realize that's a wide open race. I just want to get to the last race and have that 4 for 4 at that point.
You didn't want the winner in the last race, huh?
Oh, well, give it to me.
I really like Molly's Nighthawk. We'll talk more about that one.
I'm using 4, and the 9 isn't one of them.
It's a difficult sequence. Maybe that ticket Tom just put out there is the only winning ticket. Of course, you could play it as well. Late Pick 5 is coming up. Yoshida. Back from across the pond, that trip to Royal Ascot. Can he get it done for Bill Mott in the Grade 1 coming up?
This 3-time Breeding Stakes winning millionaire defeated 20 Grade 1 winners. In the Dixie Stakes, he defeated Canadian champion and Horse of the Year Up with the Birds and set a new course record at Saratoga. Now the excitement is building as his first foals have arrived this year. Half to 4 graded stakes winners, Ironicus has the speed, class, and bloodlines to become the next great sire by Distorted Humor. Ironicus, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired, New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record-setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
We are back on Saratoga Live on 4-Star Dave Day, our Grade 1 feature race. Still to come in a little bit. Right now, it's the start of the NyraBets Late Pick 5. But you can also play along without risking any of your own money and compete for real prizes by getting involved with a Saratoga Showdown. Go to Nyra.com/showdown. Watch your name climb that leaderboard. You're competing for real prizes, including the grand prize of a 2019 Belmont Stakes ticket package. Right now, it is time for a Paddock report for the 7th race coming up. We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
Thanks, Greg. And we'll check in with number 9, Munchkin Money. She is the New York bred who's coming back off of a layoff. And physically, yeah, I like what I see. Munchkin Money looks great. She's well conditioned here by her trainer and Brian Lynch, but she is being pretty bad to saddle. They've had to get the outrider pony out here. They've had to do her on the walk because in the saddling stalls, she jumped up, shook all of that tack off, and just is expressing herself as if she has a little bit of that ring rust, a little bit of that nervous energy that horses will tend to get coming back off the bench. That always worries me. It's not the greatest sign in the world. Though we'll check in with another filly who is coming back off of a layoff that definitely doesn't have that problem, and that's number 11, Ultima D, who arguably, while her races don't look as fast, but they came as a 2-year-old. She's run against the best fields, Toinette, Rushing Fall, as she's even run against boys. In fact, she ran against the boys here when she tried the turf for the first time, going 5.5, and she only got beat a neck. And I like her getting back to 5.5 here on the turf course, and she's gotten bigger. She's really fit here for Wesley Ward. The only problem I have with her is that maybe she's too quiet for this turn back in distance, but I like Ultima D. I think she's very intriguing in this field. Next, we'll move on to a big long shot. Number 6, sitting at 18-1 for trainer Ralph Nix, is Violent Times, who's actually trying the turf for the first time. Now, she's a daughter of Violence. We haven't seen that many Violence progeny, so we're not totally sure if he's a positive, negative influence, but he is by Medaglia d'Oro, so right there, that has to be a positive influence. And not that much immediate pedigree in the first generation, but the second dam herself was very good on the turf. And this filly looks like an out-and-out turf horse. She has that flat hoof, slacker pastern. She's a little more angular type in her body as well. And looking at her here, she was a little nervous before they got the tackling, but since she's calmed right down, but she's still sharp. It's still the energy you want to see for a 5.5 turf sprint, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. And the question mark, I guess, with this one, how quick is she going to be, too? Could she get to the lead in here in her turf debut?
I think it's going to be tough. You know, we talk about this quite often, and I wonder what Tom has to say about this. I find very often that dirt speed does not translate well to turf speed. The turf sprinters are fast.
They're fast, but a lot of it has to do with whether that horse transitions from one course to the other. Look, speaking specifically of Violent Times, there's something that has to be mentioned about the 6 horse. Wearing a bar shoe today. That's not a trinket. It's on there for a reason. She's got a problem with the foot. They're wearing a corrective shoe on the foot. It's going to hamper her performance. It always does.
Especially the turf with a little bit of give in it, guys.
She is 18-1 on the board. Has that bar shoe on, as Tom Amos mentioned. We'll see how quick she is. We know the 2, Conquest Tisfire, is quick. And, Andy, we have 3 horses, the 2nd, 3rd, 5th place finishers, all coming out of that July 21st race here at Saratoga.
And I'll tell you something. She ran very well in there. The horse who won the race was the favorite, so it's not like she really hung. The issue with her is she's got 9 starts, 1 win in 5 seconds. You're beginning to wonder if she ever wants to win a race. I thought La Natural got a great ride in there. But let me say something, Tom. She is 9-1 right now, Conquest Tisfire. Isn't that an overlay?
It is an overlay, but how do you make an excuse for a horse that had great position in her last? The pace was very controlled. Really, it was her race to win. She didn't get it done.
No, I'm not going to argue with any of that. And she's faced some good horses, to be fair. But I don't disagree. The 5 seconds are a problem. But if she was 8 or 9-1, I wouldn't have a problem betting a few dollars on it. It's a big price.
Yeah, not at all. You got 6-1, meanwhile, on Sister Sophia, and she is intriguing. The fact that she's cutting back in distance in here, it seems like she's been better sprinting.
I agree, and that's why I like her in here, Greg. It's exactly why. Because last time she's going a mile, first of all, she couldn't beat La Moneda, who's headed to stakes. She's a terrific filly trained by Tom Morley. Time before that, I thought she ran very well behind Conquest Tisfire in a race where the pace held together reasonably well. I think there's going to be some hitting in here, and this course could favor her.
Yeah, look, the only thing I worry about with Sister Sophia, the 8 is the 5.5 furlongs too short for her?
It's a reasonable question, always is. I like her chances, though.
Call to post from Sam the Bugler, and we're going to get a look at our field here. This is the race that kicks off the Naira Bets late pick 5. Again, if you're the only winning ticket on this Saturday afternoon, $300,000 minimum single ticket payout. No matter how much we get in this pool, we're up to 162,000 plus right now. We will start things off here in a moment with a great time for trainer Michael Trombetta. I thought she was intriguing as well. When she came off the layoff, she faced Fear No Evil, who would come back to win 2 starts later and beat Mamanu.
No, I don't disagree with you. She's a great price, 15-1. She could sit that good tuck trip behind the speed in here. Tough field, but big price.
Conquest Tisfire, who we were just talking about earlier, trained by James Lawrence. Jorge Vargas aboard.
Look, she's a logical contender. She was 2nd at this level in her last start.
Designing the 3, trained by Chad Summers. She will cut back in distance. Blinkers going on.
I feel as though that she's overmatched in this spot.
26-1. The 4, Majestic 1. Luis Saez aboard for Jeremiah Englehart.
She's short on experience, but possibly the best talented horse in the race. Today is Judgment Day.
La Natural finished just behind Conquest Tisfire. Back on July 21st here, Jose Lezcano, who rides Voodoo Song later, will be aboard.
Look at her races. She runs well every time she runs.
6-1 on the 5. Violent Times, first time on the turf, as we talked about. Shown speed on the dirt for Ralph Nix.
I'm not encouraged by the fact that she's wearing a corrective shoe for this race.
Sister Sophia cuts back in distance for Jorge Abreu with Javier Castellano.
Shortening up to a distance that may not be her best, in my opinion.
Munchkin Money right now, 9-2 on the board. It'll be her 5-year-old debut, trained by Brian Lynch.
She has some very fast races. She has to win at 5.5 furlongs, but if she overcomes the layoff, she's the one to beat.
First Appeal, trained by Linda Rice with Junior Alvarado. He's won 2 today.
She needs a quick early pace to utilize her late kick, which is good enough to win this race.
Ultima D, Manny Franco, he rides Yoshida later. He's on here for Wesley Ward.
A long shot that Maggie was interested in, the Paddock. Has some races going back as a 2-year-old that with some improvement could be a player.
And Queen Mom at 8-1 for Marcassi with Julian Leperoux.
Yeah, this is a tough post for a filly that's shortening up in distance, but she is talented.
Well, coming up later, Voodoo Song, never lost here on the turf at Saratoga, trained by Linda Rice. Of course, Linda has First Appeal, the 10 horse in this race coming up. Let's go to Gabby Gaudette for more.
Thanks, Greg. Well, we're trying to stay undercover here. We've got umbrellas all around. But, Linda, first of all, we'll talk about First Appeal and then get to the feature in just a moment. But First Appeal, closing turf sprinter. Do you feel that this horse has been kind of pace compromised a few times in the past?
I do. The last couple of races, she just hasn't had the typical fast pace to close into. And today we're on soft ground. I'm not so sure how she'll handle the soft ground, but, you know, there is more speed in this race, so maybe that'll help us.
Moving forward to Voodoo Song, a fan favorite definitely for locals here at Saratoga as he is undefeated. How is he coming into the race, and your thoughts and, you know, keeping him or pointing him towards Grade 1 company today instead of the Lure?
Well, you know, this summer he's raced pretty well at Belmont. He won the Forbidden Apple before on closing weekend at Belmont. He ran quite well in the poker prior to that a month earlier. He showed the ability to rate that day. So I've been pretty happy with his 4-year-old campaign so far. Obviously a Grade 1. I mean, it's a big step up in company. He has met some of these horses before. He did beat Yoshida in the Saranac last summer, but that was on firm ground, and we've had a lot of rain this meet so far. So, you know, we're hoping for the best, but it's a tall task.
You mentioned his ability to rate, which he kind of showed in the poker, crazy fast pace in front of him. But where do you think he'll sit today, given the presence of Heart to Heart and his speed?
Well, you know, I discussed this with Jose Lascano this morning, and, you know, our intention is to go to the lead, and we'll sort that out with Heart to Heart, you know, see how the race unfolds. You know, Voodoo Song has been on the lead in some very fast fractions, 44 and change, and he's held up quite well. Obviously, they won't go that fast here today, but our plan A is to be on the lead, so we'll see if that works out.
All right, well, thank you for joining us here today. Best of luck.
Thank you, Gabby.
All right, Greg, plan to go to the lead for Voodoo Song. I don't think there's any other way, given his natural early speed.
He is quick. It's going to be fun to watch him do his thing. 4 for 4 here. All those victories in the Saratoga turf came in the span of 6 weeks last summer here at the Spa.
He's an impossible horse not to root for.
Yeah, look, that's a great interview because you really get an idea of what the instructions are going to be in the paddock. They're going to try and make the lead in that race. If Heart to Heart does what he does, you know, it almost seems like it's got to set up for someone to close.
But don't you think Heart to Heart connections, and we'll talk about this more later, are comfortable with him rating, even though you and I don't think he's as good rating?
No, I don't think he's as good rating, and I don't think he's all that quick the first step out of the gate, but I think he's brilliant that first quarter and half mile. He can go very, very fast and keep going.
But to your point, Andy, Brian Lynch really liked the way he ran, even though it was in defeat last time out, sitting off a stalking horse who got loose on the front end. So we'll see as we take a look here at Brian Lynch's runner in this race, Munchkin Money. And Brian Lynch, off layoffs on the turf over the last 5 years, 19% win percentage.
I mean, they're solid numbers, and you look at the horse right now at 9-2, Tom. If he wins it 1 out of 5 times, you're getting paid, right?
No, you're getting paid indeed. I'm watching him switch his tail, switch her tail a little bit. I'd be interested to know what Maggie's seeing out there. You know, we saw the paddock behavior and had to be saddled on the walk. I want to know if this horse has quieted down Munchkin Money the 9 on the racetrack.
Well, Jeremiah Engelhardt, he had a big win earlier on today's card. We're going to show you that a little bit later on in the show. He'll send out Majestic One, the 4 filly in this spot coming up, who right now is the favorite. With more on this one, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
And just quickly to touch on what Tom was talking about with Munchkin Money coming back, you guys said, I mean, she's still out there swishing her tail. She just looks a bit agitated overall. She's not misbehaving as badly as she was in the paddock, which is a good thing, but the kind of agitation is still there. As we'll take a look at number 4, who's your lukewarm favorite right now, and Majestic One. She dominated a field of maiden special weight company last time out, first off of a layoff too, and I didn't think she looked that fit that day, and she's definitely moved forward for having that race under her belt. So with that, you would have to think she can build upon that effort, and it didn't seem like it one that took that much out of her. So I would not say that the public is incorrect in making this girl your current favorite, though I'm going to try to be a little creative and go with the other layoff horse in Ultima D, Greg.
Yeah, Ultima D for Wesley Ward. She ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf 2 starts back at Del Mar.
No, listen, she was good enough as a 2-year-old that if she makes that routine improvement off her turf sprints as a 2-year-old, as a 3-year-old, she's got the 1 start running it against Toinette and La Signaire, who are major stake horses going along. I don't see why she's impossible here, Tom.
No, very good horse, sprinting on the grass, and she finally gets back to that today off the layoff since April.
This is the kind of race you only see in Saratoga, right? You've got so many shippers, horses coming from different places and coming in, and this is the beauty of Saratoga, races just like this.
There's those WW Silks, one of many you can make a case for in this field. Tremendous way to start off this Naira Bets late pick 5 with a wide open race. As we get there, look at the 12 there, Queen Mum. She tried the turf for the first time last out at 8-1, and now she'll cut back in distance.
I mean, she's got some turf in her pedigree. Look, long on talent. Ran second behind Monomoy Girl, our divisional champion 3-year-old filly this year. Why not? The only thing that bothers me about the 12-horse Queen Mum is the post.
You could also argue her turf race going a mile last time was her best race yet, and maybe she'll be happier with less distance.
Good luck in this Naira Bets late pick 5. It is a difficult sequence. There is Munchkin Money, the 9, stepping in for trainer Brian Lynch, who will, of course, send out Heart to Heart in the Grade 1 4-star Dave to come. Munchkin Money making her 5-year-old debut. Can she win off the layoff? Let's send it upstairs for the start of this Naira Bets late pick 5 to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown. For the call, here's Larry Colmus.
Just 2 left to load here is Ultima D and Manny Franco. Come up to their position in the starting gate. Ultima D goes in. And last to load will be Queen Mum. 7-2 favorite right now is Majestic One. Very tepid favorite. They're all in line, ready for a start. They're off. Conquest His Fire out for the lead with a great time, and rushing through between horses comes Majestic One with Violent Times 2, and then comes Queen Mum on the far outside, and they're followed on the rail by Designing. Break of another 2.5 to First Appeal, racing on the outside of La Naturelle up the backstretch. Ultimate D is next, and the trailers are Sister Sophia and Munchkin Money, and they run by the opening quarter in 22.36 seconds. Into the far turn, Conquest His Fire, Majestic One, stride for stride on the lead. Violent Times just outside the top 2, a half length off of them. Then a great time fourth on the inside as they make their way to the top of the stretch. Queen Mum is there. Designing is coming up on the outside of them, and they're into the stretch, and Violent Times has taken the lead here. Violent Times in front with a furlong to run, and finishing fast on the far outside is Sister Sophia, who's really kicked it in, and she's closing. Violent Times, Sister Sophia with a rush from far behind, and here she comes. Sister Sophia runs them down and beat Violent Times on the wire. Tight for third between Queen Mum and a great time in 103.53.
Sister Sophia from off the pace, the cut back in distance, back doing what she does best, sprinting for Jorge Abreu gets the win.
And she got a great setup. They went very, very fast on the front end. Hats off to Violent Times, who ran a terrific race. Just couldn't withstand that early pace pressure and faltered at the end.
No question, Tom. The runner-up did run a sensational effort here at Barshoe as well, but Javier Castellano rakes a very difficult filly to ride because you have to be absolutely as patient as possible for that short burst. And he was dead last as they were coming into the stretch. She got to the outside, got in the clear, and just rolled on by.
And let's pay attention to that outside post and that outside trip, because as you're watching these horses in that race come down the lane, they're kicking up a ton of turf. This is a soft turf course. The outside path may be the best.
You know, I'm going to disagree slightly, Tom. Look at the time for these horses. It's an okay time, and we saw a decent enough time in the on-turf race where I don't think the course is soft. I think it's actually firm to good, but they're kind of tearing the top of the course off because we've just gotten some fresh rain. I think that's one of the reasons you don't want to run a lot of races on it, because you tear the course up. But the final time does not suggest that this course isn't good to firm, not soft. Is that fair?
Fair enough.
How about that exacta? 6-1 over 29-1. The turf debuter Violent Times in defeat ran a very big effort.
She probably really ran the best race, and I say that having bet on the 8, because as Tom said, the rest of the field, the speeds just fell apart in here.
Oh, yeah,
she was good.
The only one that hung in there.
She was good.
8-6, close for third. It goes to the 12, Queen Mum, making just her second try over the grass. But there is your winner, Sister Sophia, at 6-1. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet.
Thank you, Greg. And here with her winning trainer, sister Sophia Jorge Abreu. Just talk about that stretch run, because she just came out of nowhere from almost last of hers.
Well, it surprised me a little bit because she used to run that way before, and I ran her 3/4. She won at Belmont, and I wanted to stretch her out because she always got that leg kick on her. And the 5.5, I was just more concerned about the track today than anything else.
She handled it just fine. Talk a little bit about this meet so far. You're having a tremendous meet.
Well, so far, all the horses, we're just coming in place at the right time. So everybody's training well, doing good. So, and I'm very blessed to have this meet.
They're doing very well, and so are you. Congratulations on this one.
Thank you very much.
Greg.
Gabby, thank you very much. He could be a big factor in the nightcap as well with Super Mama. That's in race 11. Another look here down the stretch, and Sister Sophia gives Jorge Abreu his 4th winner at the meet.
I mean, Tom, that is a sensational meet. He's an ex-assistant to Chad Brown, been in his own for about a year and a half. Midway through the meet at Saratoga to have 4 wins, that's a lot of wins for a whole meet.
There's a lot of guys out there that would like to trade places with him as far as his record goes.
Nobody I know.
Got very silent on the set right now. Tom, you still there? $14.20 for the victory. Sister Sophia wins for the 4th time in 14 career starts. 6-year-old mare still showing she can get it done.
Yeah, she's a really nice horse. And I love, turnbacks are funny things, cutting back from routes to sprints. They don't work that often in turf. But with a horse that's a true turf sprinter, I think it might be an advantage, Tom. Maybe that mile race helped her.
Oh, yeah, the mile race helped her, I think. Quite frankly, the pace setup today helped her a great deal. They went really quick early.
Picture time and getting it taken here at this special meet. There is nothing quite like it. Still to come, the Grade 1 4-star Dave. And that 7-year-old has never lost here on the turf at Saratoga. Perfect 2 for 2, and it just seems like as he has gotten older, he has gotten even better.
I can't argue with any of that. I think you look at that, he's a terrific horse. Now, I think Tom and I agree that he may not be as good when he rates as he is in the front end, but it's not like he's a bad horse when he rates in the front end.
No, I sense that you don't think he's at his best right now, and I actually think he's coming into this race the right way.
No,
am I assuming too much?
Here's my problem with Heart to Heart. A, he's got to deal with Voodoo Song and then hold off closers.
Fact.
But his last race, which got him a very high buyer, Hunt who beat him, and the 3rd horse, Next Shares, I think if they were in this field, they'd be 7th and 8th.
Here's a look at the field for the Grade 1 4-star Dave. This is going to be a lot of fun. The richest grass race of the Saratoga season, worth $500,000. And it's Yoshida for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott, who opens up at even money early on. Wow.
Little over bet, wouldn't you say? I mean, no horse in this race should probably be under 5-2.
Look, I get it. I think what they're sensing here is a pace setup that's going to favor Yoshida, run well on a soft turf in the past. But the problem here is the trip overseas.
Just went to Royal Ascot, ran in the Queen Anne. Didn't get beat by much in that race. Ran valiant to run 5th, but now coming all the way back to the States. How will he fare? Grade 1 4-star Dave is next. We're going to remember the great 4-star Dave and what he accomplished here at Saratoga when we come back.
Switches back to the outside. Exactorator down to the 16th pole. But Exactorator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. He has won the Travers over American Flag. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice.
Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
home stretch. Great quarters, 9 and 1. 4-star Dave still there and still strong at the 8th pole. 5-length lead. Kate Valentine rallies to be second. Who's to Pay is putting in his run on the hedge now and moves through, followed by Horatio Luro. They are in deep stretch, and it's all 4-star Dave.
Well, 4-star Dave back in 1991, he set a track record for a mile and a 16th here on the turf that stood until 2015. He was a 9-time winner at Saratoga, 6 of those in stakes races.
I think you have to go back, and Tom and I were here some of those years. I was here for all of them, to understand what a local hero he was. I mean, people just loved 4-star Dave.
No, big-time horse, and looking at his career here, how could you not love him?
Race named in his honor, of course, is coming up from 1987 to 1994. The horse trained by Leo O'Brien won at least one race every single summer here at this iconic racetrack, becoming one of the favorites of all time of the fans here at the Spa.
I think 4-star Dave really started to become a fan favorite in Saratoga the 3rd year he won up here as a 4-year-old. He started getting that moniker like horse for a course, Saratoga horse. And then by the 4th year, 4-star Dave mania was starting to take place. I mean, people who were starting with T-shirts and hats, and it just kept going. I mean, 5th year, and people were going, well, how many horses run 5 years in a row in Saratoga, let alone win? And hard to imagine that he would ultimately win 8 years in a row up here. The thing about him, too, besides the fact that he would win every year in Saratoga, was he was very charismatic, and people would go to take pictures of him. He'd actually stop and pose, and he kind of really thrived on the attention. The '93 Saratoga meet was bittersweet. He got his win in Saratoga, keep the streak alive. And then he got taken down, and to me was one of the top 5 worst DQs I've ever seen, let alone been a part of.
4-star Dave was disqualified from first.
He shifted out a half a path when I went to go to my left-handed whip, and we barely brushed with a horse that wound up, I think, 5th. In one stride, it was back in my right hand, and I had him corrected. And then on top of that, the horse fell down at the break of the race. I mean, I was off of him. I don't know how. Somehow, with his head, he kind of put me back in the saddle. His last win in Saratoga in '94 was the most pressure I ever felt riding him. Maybe the only time I ever felt pressure riding him. The only way I thought he could lose is if I made a mistake.
Migliore makes his move with the old boy. There goes 4-star Dave, and he sweeps to a short lead.
But I felt the weight of Saratoga anyway on my shoulders that day.
4-star Dave is one furlong away from 8 years worth of Saratoga victories. Here's the old boy coming down to the line. He's making a runaway of it. The legend lives on. 4-star Dave wins again at the Spa.
He delivered, just a tremendous performance. And I remember I started, patting on him and telling him what a good guy he was, what a good boy. And the crowd was amazing that day. They just went bonkers when we turned for home. Normally, as a jockey, you don't hear the crowd. And that day, I heard Saratoga react to 4-star Dave. The day Dave got injured up here, he was chasing Lure and Paradise Creek, 2 world-class turf horses. And he was beaten about 7 lengths that day, and the outpouring of affection from the crowd, from the people of Saratoga, was pretty eye-opening. And I think, to me, that showed more than ever just how much he had gotten into people's hearts. They had a great retirement ceremony for Dave. They named the street by Ciro's after him, 4-star Dave Way. The mayor of the city gave him the key to the city, albeit it was a big oatmeal cookie key. And I got on him over there at Ciro's, and it was a really fun celebration, and another way for people to basically say thank you to Dave for all he had given them over the years. You can come to Saratoga in the off-season. It could be October, November. Go to his gravesite at Clare Court, and people leave tributes to him, flowers or a bobblehead. There's always some memento of his success up here, and I just think it's great that it lives on how many years later.
One of the most popular horses of all time here at Saratoga, the Sultan of Saratoga. He became an absolute folk hero here with his streak, and I just learned some new information. You would think everybody loved this horse. There's one guy on this set, he didn't love him that much.
Wow, that's not me.
I learned to appreciate him over time. I'm the worst. I'm the worst.
Unbelievable,
I'm
Andy
admittedly
Sterling.
the most despicable human being on earth. I learned to love him over time. And I'll be honest with you, that Lure Paradise Creek race where he finished third, that's when I loved him by then, but watching him in there, because Lure and Paradise Creek are arguably two of the greatest American turf horses of my lifetime, and he was within smelling distance of them.
I mean, they don't make them like that anymore. 100 starts, over 50% of the time, he is first, second, or third in the highest caliber races. You know, those horses don't come around anymore like that.
He was incredible. And don't forget, his early races were on the dirt. It's not like he was just a horse. He won the Empire Stakes, which was a 2-year-old New York bred race we used to run back in the old days. And he won that as a 2-year-old at 6 furlongs. So he could go long, short, turf, dirt. He was amazing.
And against those monsters you were talking about, Lure and Paradise Creek, actually stepped in a pothole in that race. He injured himself. A lot of people thought he might have won that race against that group had that not happened.
Not Andy.
They were wrong. He wouldn't have won it. But you know what? Coming within 2 lengths of those horses is a monstrous achievement. Very few good horses ever did.
4-Star Dave, race named in his honor. Coming up next here, and we have a sensational group lining up here in this spot. $500,000 on the line, and Yoshida for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott. He was narrowly defeated by Voodoo Song in the Saranac here last summer. He is the current favorite.
I like him. He is overbet at 6-5, Tom.
Yeah, look, he's overbet at 6-5, and they're going to get me every time when you take a horse that during the summer has gone all the way overseas, raced there, come back, and wants to come back and race again here within a couple of months. I just cannot buy into that. It takes a lot out of a horse to travel within the United States. And this is actually different.
And let me say something else, Tom. This win at Churchill Downs, very good. A lot softer course than we have today. Obviously, given the ground helps. Are we convinced that's really the race that makes him favored? His other races aren't going to win this race. So he's going to have to run back to that race. How well did he run here, guys?
Well, here's the Queen Anne, Tom, and this is that straightaway. He had to shift outside a little bit here, and then took away maybe a little bit of his momentum. And then when they got to that incline, he just flattened out a little bit.
Yeah, he did. And look, it's a straightaway mile, and that can make for a whole different complexion for a race rather than a 2-turn race. You want to talk about a race that I think put him on the map? You might laugh. His maiden win at Keeneland. He was so dominant that day, he showed he was a horse to reckon with.
I bet him in his debut at 9-1 the race before that when he finished second.
Of course you did.
He's been very effective as well on a turf course that has had a little bit of give in it. And he looks like he is fired up and ready to roll. Yoshida for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott, anxious to get back in action here in the States after heading over to Royal Ascot. The Grade 1 4-Star Dave, our feature race. Coming up when we return here on Saratoga Live.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live, and the anticipation is building as we get ready for the Grade 1 4-star Dave here with jockey Julian Leparoux aboard Heart to Heart. And Julian, this is a horse you've been on so many times in the past. He seems like a horse that does better when you can put your hands down on him and get him to relax. How do you do that today with the presence of Voodoo Song?
Well, definitely break good and then see what happens. Like you say, I don't want to fight with him, so wherever he put me, try to get him to relax. If the other one wants to go like crazy, I can sit behind. But if he want to go slow, I'll be on the lead for sure.
Julian, best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, we'll check in with Maggie for a closer look at the contenders in the Grade 1 4-star Dave.
Well, Gabby, I'm glad that Julian Leparoux feels that way, because we'll get to Voodoo Song and how he's acting here. But first, we need to check in with your current favorite on the outside. That is Yoshida. Now, there has been some to-do made about this horse shipping back and forth. But when you're shipping to England, it is only a 6 to 7 hour flight. Obviously, coming back, it's a bit longer. And then, as I talked to Bill Mott, you can go into training right away. It's not as if this horse sat in quarantine once arriving in England and then coming back. He had 2 days in quarantine, and that was it. So he hasn't missed that much time. Yes, we'll see if the traveling alone affects him that much, but I mean, horses travel a lot, and we saw a horse by the name of Athena come on 6 days rest, fly here, and win the Belmont Oaks, and she's a 3-year-old filly. And Yoshida here in the paddock is showing me great energy, is carrying his weight well than I think I've ever seen it, and he looks like the typical Yoshida, and he's one that does appreciate some give in the ground, as we'll take a look at Voodoo Song. He has handled a course with some give in the ground, and we want to talk about the pace here. Voodoo Song is Mr. I'm on my toes. I'm super happy. I've got my game face on. Let's go do this. And I do think he is naturally quicker than Heart to Heart here, and he tips his hand at being the sharpest horse in this field. Furthermore, it looks as though Voodoo thrives up here. Obviously, that 4-4 record on this Saratoga turf course speaks to himself, but his weight looks better coming out of that Forbidden Apple than when he went in. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. Voodoo Song, perfect 4-for-4 here last summer. Just an incredible story. Actually started out in a Mike Hushin barn running on dirt. Got transferred to Linda Rice when he retired, and the rest has been history. As we saw him just get better and better and better last year.
I mean, to think that he started last year, the first weekend of the meet, $40,000 claiming race, winning, and he wasn't even the favorite, Tom. And by the end of the meet, he was winning his 4th straight start and winning a Grade 3.
Yeah, look, this horse by English Channel shouts grass. I mean, what was the delay? Should have been on the grass from the very first start.
Well, Tom, we weren't running on the grass the first time it ran, so I'm just trying to defend Mike Hushin a little bit.
As for some horses that are going to be coming from off the pace in here, let's take a look at Delta Prince. This horse was off since September of last year. Went up to Woodbine on June the 30th and won a Group 2 for Jimmy Jerkins.
He has never faced or beaten this quality, though he did run a good 3rd behind Heart to Heart last year. Javier Castellano had his choice of mounts. He could have ridden Delta Prince. He could have ridden Made You Look for Chad Brown, his main man, and he chose to ride Delta Prince. He wanted to ride this horse, Tom.
It had to be because of this race. This was a big, big effort. But he's got to repeat it to have any chance in this race.
I agree. I think he has to improve on it, to be honest with you. But you know what? It's his 2nd start of the year. Maybe he can do that. This horse has always had a lot of talent.
And Jimmy Jerkins, he said he's an extremely athletic horse. Now, when he chased Heart to Heart in this race last year, he doesn't have the same kind of punch on that yielding turf course in the race last year. Now, it's not as much give today, but does it take away any of his effectiveness?
I think it does. I think that's a great point. I mean, they can't be thrilled that they're getting this rain here. I mean, none of us are thrilled we're getting some rain. And even though the course is still listed as good, there's some give in the ground.
Yeah, look, because it's not only today, it's all meet long. All the rain we've had day after day after day, eventually it just softens up.
How about this, too, for Heart to Heart? Do you know when we found out he was just so good and devastating on the lead on the front end? It was at Saratoga in the Better Talk now back in 2014, and he's still going strong.
I mean, you could argue he's getting better and better as a 7-year-old. He's certainly not getting worse.
Yeah, that was about $1.5 million ago.
Yes, it was. Nearly pulled off a 3rd consecutive Grade 1 victory. Just missed in the Shoemaker. He did not get to the front in that race, and that was the difference. The 2 prior starts, both Grade 1s, he was able to get the lead. We will see how quick Voodoo Song is, and it looks like he may not be able to steal it from him. We're going to start off our post-parade with Delta Prince. Came off the bench to win for Jimmy Jerkins at Woodbine in the King Edward.
Well, we just talked about him. Ran a huge race in his last at Woodbine, a one-turn race. He needs to repeat that to be effective today.
Divisadero, trained by Kelly Rubley. Heart to Heart has already beat him twice.
As an indication of how difficult this field is, he is a multiple Grade 1 winner, and he's the longest shot on the board.
What a deep field. Major Look sent out by Chad Brown. Luis Saez rides.
Yeah, look, stepping up after a very good second, and who did he beat? Voodoo Song in that race.
Heart to Heart, the multiple Grade 1 winner, who's 2 for 2 here at Saratoga, trained by Brian Lynch with Julian Leperoux.
His record speaks for itself. He's a wonderful racehorse, but will the dynamics with the other speed be his undoing?
The overachiever, Voodoo Song, trained by Linda Rice. Jose Lezcano back on board.
Look, needs to clear early to run his best race. I just don't see this horse after a half mile being clear of the field.
And Yoshida, trained by Belmont, back from his Royal Ascot trip, has Manny Franco in the irons.
Needs to be at his best to beat this field, making that big trip and coming back, given the ground does help him.
You can earn even more from Naira Bets by building your bankroll for the Travers Stakes in the 4-Star Dave coming up here. Bet $50 to win on one horse in this race. With your Naira Bets account, you'll earn $20 for Travers Day, regardless if your pick wins or not. Head to NairaBets.com for the full bankroll builder schedule. Pick 4 begins here in our Grade 1 4-Star Dave. Approaching $500,000 in that sequence. There is Yoshida. He looks fantastic and ready to roll in his return here to the States, trying to get his first win here on the Saratoga turf when we come back.
Grade 1 winner Lee traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. A graded stakes winner on both dirt and turf, he set a new track record in the Grade 1 Don Handicap and retired with earnings of more than $2.3 million. Now his flashy first crop yearlings are turning heads with a striking resemblance to their internationally successful sire. The sky's the limit for this promising young stallion. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York sired, New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-Star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
The stretch. Here's Grand Arch. Grand Arch runs by King Creasa as they come into the final furlong. Eroticus and Mashawish are closing on the far outside. Grand Arch in front. Eroticus storming down the center of the track. Here comes Eroticus after Grand Arch. Here's the wire. Grand Arch holds on.
That was Grand Arch, the 2015 running of the 4-Star Dave, winning for Brian Lynch, holding off Claiborne stallion Ironicus, who of course would break 4-Star Dave's record on the turf course at Saratoga that had been held for so long here one summer. Avenged a year's earlier loss to Seek again to win by nearly the same margin.
He was a really nice horse. I say something about Brian Lynch. He does a great job as a trainer. He's a trainer that came from mostly training up in Florida, mostly up in Canada. When he came to New York, he immediately started winning, and that's not an easy thing to do, Tom.
No, and Lee's a hands-on guy, too. I see him on his pony just the other morning. He is very involved in the individual training of each horse.
So 7-2 on Heart to Heart. Meanwhile, next door, Voodoo Song. We heard from Linda Rice. The game plan we know is get to the front, but she also said Voodoo Song needs firm turf and he needs lots of sunshine. He is not getting that today.
Yeah, I agree. His running style is so conducive to a firm turf, but I'm going to tell you something. I don't think that he can't handle it. I just think he's better when it's very firm. Is that fair, Tom?
It's fair. I mean, listening to her speak about what the game plan is going to be, which is to try to make the lead, then listening to Julian Leparoux, who sounds a lot more gray on what they want to do with Heart to Heart, who's inside him, it probably is a race where Voodoo Song is going to make the lead. But he's not a great gate horse all the time, so he doesn't have to break well. And because he's outside of the speed horse, the 5 Heart to Heart, he's got to go faster than Heart to Heart to get over for the turn.
I have a question for you, Tom, as a trainer in these situations. When you have riders, do you want to be definitive with your rider and say, I want to get the lead? I mean, assuming I'm not a bad breaker so you can get there, or do you leave it up to them?
So the only way I'm definitive with a rider is if I'm convinced my horse has one style and one style only. If I think the horse can do different things, I always leave it in the rider's hands. I never give a lot of instructions.
Meanwhile, someone we know who's going to be running late in this race, the horse on our screen now, the 3 Divisadero.
I'm a fan of Divisadero as a racehorse. You know, you look through his races. His race 2 back at Churchill Downs. Now, you and I, Tom, we both like Inspector Lindley in the Lure a couple races later because he didn't have the best of trips. But isn't it fair to argue the horse who had the absolute worst trip in there was Divisadero? He should have won that race.
He should have won that race. And if you're counting on the pace being quick and you're going to make the assumption that that's going to hurt the 5 Heart to Heart as well as the 6 Voodoo Song, why not Divisadero? He's going to come running late.
And he's a tremendous price right now at 8-1 on the board.
I mean, it's remarkable. And I understand why he is. You've got some pretty flashy horses in here, but this is a horse that almost consistently is running triple-digit buyers. We think he can get some pace to run it. He comes off a win 1 mile and 3/16 last time where he might have moved too soon, so he's cutting back, and he's got that bottom. I mean, he's a 6-year-old that just keeps on chugging along.
Remember, it was this race last year that catapulted world approval on his way to a win in the Breeders' Cup Mile and an Eclipse Award for trainer Mark Cassidy. And they had almost thought about not running in the race because it seems like every year there is rain on 4-Star Dave Day, but he ran sensational in that effort last year. The Grade 1 4-Star Dave, our feature race here on this Saturday afternoon, is coming up. Welcome to Saratoga Live, presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Great to have you with us as we get set for our feature race coming up. The Grade 1 4-Star Dave and a sensational field, top to bottom, that we're going to see here line up in just a minute or so. Greg Wolf alongside Andy Serling, trainer Tom Amos. And right now it is Yoshida, who is the 3-2 favorite on the board here for trainer Bill Mott, coming back from across the pond at Royal Ascot.
It'll be fascinating to see what he does. He's taking an awful lot of money, Yoshida, to be 3-2, and he may be the horse to beat, but Tom, this is a deep field.
It's a deep field. It's a great race in the sense that you have all the dynamics. 2 speed horses, the 5 horse Heart to Heart, right outside of them, Voodoo Song, the 6. Do they back up? Do they set it up for closers? This is what handicapping is all about.
There's Heart to Heart, Julian Leparoux. He's going to have some decisions early on out of the gate. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
That's exactly right here, Greg. And you want to talk about a juxtaposition between 2 horses that have that early speed. You can see it with Voodoo Song and Heart to Heart, whom it's really calm, cool, and collected. Quiet warm-up beneath Julian Leparoux. I think it's all more about getting Heart to Heart in a rhythm and getting him to relax, which obviously on the front end is where he's most relaxed, but not sure if he's going to get to do that here today. Now, a horse that is intriguing is Delta Prince here. On the inside, he's number 2. Javier Castellano actually opting to ride him over the Chad Brown trainee, and he is the one horse that's gotten the most hot out here. It's not as if he's acting up. It might just be his kind of physical makeup, his kind of genetics, if you will. So he looks great out here. He's done well. I only get to see him sparingly, but like I said, he's the one who's gotten a little hot and washy out on the track. Gabby?
Well, Maggie, really excited to get this race underway, and of course it'll be interesting once the gates are opened, what happens in terms of the pace scenario. Now, talking to trainer Linda Rice earlier today, obviously she said the plan is to go to the lead with Voodoo Song, and he is naturally the fastest. Now, Heart to Heart, on the other hand, as you were alluding to, Maggie, he can be tough. He carries his head very high. It's best if Julien Leparoux can kind of put his hands down on his withers and get him to relax. But just like in the Shoemaker Mile, we saw a horse kind of open up on the field, and he was able to relax behind it because there was such a gap in between the first and second horse. So could that possibly be a scenario today where we see Voodoo Song open up on the field and Heart to Heart can relax just behind him? That's the way I see it, and that's why I like Heart to Heart here in the 4-star Dave.
And that is the hardware that awaits the winner of this race. It's just so interesting with Heart to Heart when he has not been on the lead, even though he's run well sometimes in defeat, including last time out in the Shoemaker Mile. He's never gotten the job done when he's not been in front. There are countless examples. The Mathis Brothers Mile going all the way back to 2014 at Monmouth and the Red Bank. Shoemaker Mile twice. The Artie Schiller, the Makers 46 Mile. So can he overcome that today?
I say no. That's why I'm trying to beat him in here. You know, there's a big difference between rating and running well and rating and winning, Tom.
But, Andy, listen to the races that Greg is mentioning. These are top-class races. Heart to Heart has had a little trouble occasionally in those races. When you look at what his competition is to make the lead, Voodoo Song, this is a horse that's really stepping up in class today.
I don't disagree with any of that, but what I'm saying is he's just not, and I'm agreeing, he just doesn't seal the deal without the lead. I think he's a need-the-lead type in order to finish first.
We'll see if he can get it done for the first time, not having the lead, or if he's going to gun out of the gate here under Julien Leparoux. Keep your eyes on the 5 early here. Heart to Heart, there he is loading in. Or is the 6-horse Voodoo Song just too quick for him? 4 wins in 4 starts here last summer for that horse right there stepping into the gates. He is tackling Grade 1 company for the first time in his career. It's the Grade 1 4-star Dave. Here's Larry Colmus with the call.
They're all in line and ready for the start. They're off in the 4-star Dave. Made You Look came out running with Voodoo Song and Heart to Heart between those two. And now Heart to Heart and Voodoo Song go at it early, and Made You Look will sit back in 3rd. Yoshida follows in 4th as they make their way into that turn. And then saving all the ground is Delta Prince and Divisi Darrow at the back of the field, 7 lengths off of spa-loving Voodoo Song, who scampers off to lead by 3 lengths onto the backstretch. Heart to Heart will allow him to do it and sit back as they head to the backstretch in 23.53 seconds. A separation of 4 more lengths back to Made You Look, who's 3rd and already 8 lengths behind Voodoo Song up the backstretch. Then an unhurried Yoshida, Delta Prince, and Divisi Darrow. Voodoo Song motoring along here. He's opened up a 5-length lead halfway up the backstretch in the 4-star Dave. Heart to Heart continues to pursue, well behind, now 4.5 lengths off of Voodoo Song, who went 46.89 for a half mile. Yoshida's getting closer with Made You Look. Yoshida's going to have to wait, though, for some running room on the inside. Delta Prince is next, and Divisi Darrow, and they're all coming after Voodoo Song now. The lead is down to 1.5 lengths. Heart to Heart comes under pressure. Made You Look is there with Delta Prince. A wide run for Divisi Darrow. Yoshida still last at the top of the stretch. Voodoo Song turning for home in front, trying to fend off the competition. Made You Look is coming with Delta Prince. Divisi Darrow on the outside. Voodoo Song is still there. Here comes Delta Prince. Delta Prince on the outside of Voodoo Song. Divisi Darrow finishing down the center of the course. Voodoo Song digs in. Delta Prince can't get by. Is he going to do it? He is! Voodoo Song won the 4-star Dave. He's a Grade 1 winner. Delta Prince was 2nd and Divisi Darrow was 3rd in 1:35.96. How about that?
He just keeps overachieving every time out. Jose Lezcano, Voodoo Song, opened up on the field like we saw last summer, and with Grade 1 company coming at him, he's able to finish.
What a horse race by your speed horse, Voodoo Song. I had to look down at my form. Heart to Heart hasn't been 5 lengths off the lead on the backside in recent time. That's how quick Voodoo Song was in this race and held on game, game, game is all you can say.
I think everybody on the set, and none of us picked Voodoo Song, we're all rooting for Voodoo Song down the lane. What a terrific racehorse he is. You know, this race looked on the turn like the whole field was going to swallow up Voodoo Song, and he just kept digging, and then here comes Delta Prince, and it's like, okay, well, he's going to run second, and he just wouldn't let him by. What a racehorse.
Boy, I mean, I really give this horse extra credit for how quick he went. You have to put it in perspective. When has Heart to Heart been that far off the lead down the backside? That's how fast Voodoo Song was going in today's race. And he kept going.
You imagine if this turf was firm, he'd have gone 45-2. I mean, this horse was flying out there. This is sensational.
They had a game plan from the outset. It was get to the front, opened up on this field. That was brave from Jose Lezcano and able to hang on. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet for more.
Thank you, guys. A very exciting moment here with winning owner Barry Schwartz with Voodoo Song.
Cheryl.
I think they're celebrating a little too much. We'll try and get back to Gabby in a moment.
Can't blame 'em.
I don't blame them at all. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale with Jose Lezcano.
And I'm with the coolest kid in the class. That's Voodoo Song here with Jose Lezcano, reunited Jose and back on his course. Up here at the spa, he's 5 for 5. He could have gone another half mile, you just said.
Oh, yeah. He want to keep running. He's a very nice horse. He love it here, and he do it real good. And, like, anytime you ask it, he keep going, you know, he not stop it. He love it here, you know.
And when the horses came to him, he grows a heart bigger than himself.
Yeah, it's for sure. He get to Cuervo, I see the horses coming and ask it, he take you off again.
And talk about the break. I mean, that was essential, getting out there, getting in front of Heart to Heart. But then again, you easily did it. He's just naturally fast.
Yeah, she's very naturally fast. And I don't want to ask it too. I want to let him do himself, and that way, you know, got run off a little bit, you know. The ground's a little soft, you know. I don't want him to go too fast early, you know.
Still won a respectable time, that's for sure. Jose, congratulations on getting Voodoo Song's first grade 1, staying undefeated up here at Saratoga.
Thank you.
And guys, he just reminds me of one of those throwback horses that just lives and breathes to race. His eyes just get all big, and he is all about running. You can see he still wants to go now.
This horse was in a $40,000 claiming race to start off his 4-race win streak last summer here at Saratoga. Now he is a Grade 1 winner.
Tom, my one question to you is, why didn't you claim him?
Yeah, right. I wish I had. I bet a lot of people saying the same thing. Talking specifically about this race and the ride Lezcano put on Voodoo Song, a lot has to be said about going to the first turn, because being able to get over in time against Heart to Heart and save that ground by making the turn against the rail was the difference between winning and losing.
And you know what? Don't be afraid to open up in the field. Make them get brave behind you.
And let's remember, too, this is not his favorite kind of turf course. He likes it firm. He likes it hard.
It is now.
Yeah.
He likes it with a little bit of he likes it with a little bit of a rain up in Saratoga. I don't know what his favorite turf course is. He's just a darn good horse.
Incredible performance by this 4-year-old son of English Channel, Voodoo Song. He's now 5 for 5 at Saratoga, and in a race named after a horse who won here year after year after year. How about this? A horse who, in a different way, is starting to build his own following here.
And a New York bred. I mean, this is the second straight week we've had a New York bred win a Grade 1 stake. And the New York bred sale is tonight and tomorrow at Fasig-Tipton.
Look,
you going, Tom?
about it. We talked about it last week. The New York breds are more competitive against open company than any other state bred program in the United States. They're very good.
Barry Schwartz, Jose Lezcano, Linda Rice, your winning connections with Voodoo Song. He is something else. First try in Grade 1 company, and he takes him gate to wire. There's Barry Schwartz, about to get his picture taken. We'll be right back.
Once again, among the world's leading sires of stakes horses and graded stakes horses, Warfront has sired 8 champions and 8 millionaires. Recent Grade 1 winners include European champion U.S. Navy Flag and Lancaster Bomber, plus an ever-growing list of 2018 graded stakes winners. In the sales ring, his yearlings continue to bring prices well over $1 million. International Super Sire Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with NYRA Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or NyraBet's app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination, with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
We're back on Saratoga Live, and we just saw a special performance from Voodoo Song, who last summer he won 4 races here in a span of just 42 days. First time that's been done since Native Dancer back in 1952, and now he has a grade 1 on his resume.
Amazing performance. Andy, a lot of times there's a point in the race where the race either won or lost by a decision by the rider. We're going to go back to the start of this race. I want you to watch Voodoo Song alongside Heart to Heart and how he uses enough horse to get over on Heart to Heart and save ground going to the first turn. He makes that turn along the rail. That's the difference between winning and losing when you look at the margin of victory.
I'm not going to disagree with any of that. Now, Heart to Heart did bobble briefly coming out of the gate. I don't think it really affected him. And it's interesting because it looked for a second like Julian Leperoux was going to be very aggressive with Heart to Heart. And I think he wanted to make Voodoo Song run. But then Jose Lezcano said, I'm going, and I'm gone.
Look how well he corners, too. I mean, he just loves this turf course.
I'm going to tell you something. He is a sensational horse. And, you know, he obviously loves it in Saratoga. But let's not diminish him. He ran well at Belmont as well.
Absolutely. And when we saw this here in the stretch, who believed he'd be able to hold off this kind of company?
Because at one point, it looks like he's really tiring. This horse digs in. Boy, my kind of horse.
I'm going to give you a bet. Top of the stretch, was he a bigger favorite to win or run last if you froze it there?
Yeah.
I'm not sure he was the bigger favorite to run last, and yet he still won the race. He is a remarkably talented, resilient animal, and as you say, becoming a legend up here in Saratoga after this, right?
Absolutely. With more, let's go to Gabby Gaudet.
Thank you, Greg. And here with Cheryl Swartz. This was an incredible performance by Voodoo Song. Now, we were walking down the stairs and you took a little bit of a slip. Are you okay?
I am fine, I promise. With a win like this, there is no pain, only joy.
How special is this victory for you?
Very, very special. He's a special horse. He did an incredible job last year here at Saratoga. He loves the track, and we love him. And today it's our first grade 1 stake in Saratoga, not forever, but the first one in Saratoga. So it's very special and very meaningful.
You guys have been in the game for a very long time, and it's very surprising that this is your first Grade 1 win at Saratoga.
It certainly is. It's not without trying, for sure, but it's very, very. Oh, he's busy. I'm sorry.
You're doing just a fine job.
Thank you so much, and we're just so ecstatic. It's really, really great. Linda's done an incredible job with him, and he loves this track.
He absolutely does. Undefeated in 5 starts. Congratulations. We hope you're okay. She lost her shoes on the way going out to the track, but she is a good sport, guys.
Barefoot in the park at Saratoga in the winner's circle at Saratoga with a Grade 1 and Voodoo Song. Do we dare dream even bigger with this horse now?
Well, I think you have to be thinking about the biggest races. Why wouldn't you? The 4-Star Dave's one of the most important Grade 1s of the year. Why wouldn't they be thinking Breeders' Cup Mile?
They should indeed. And when you think about where the Breeders' Cup's going to be this year, the track dimensions are very similar.
Naira Betts late, pick 5, follow along, $262,000 in this pool. $14 horse to start it, $15 horse in Lake 2 if you're the only winning ticket. Only $262,000 in the pool. You're guaranteed a minimum of $300,000.
And I got to tell you something. There could very well be horses that are the only ones covered in the last race.
Race 9 is next. An allowance optional claiming field, 7/8 of a mile ahead. Pattern Recognition was the morning line favorite for trainer Chad Brown. He's got another one in here, though, in Mask. But right now, breaking the rules for Shug McGahee favored.
He is favored, but looking at the multi-race bets, you're not getting 6-1 in Pattern Recognition. He'll be favored, but Pattern Recognition is starting to develop a pattern, and that's finishing second.
5 times second in 8 career starts. Chad Brown with a lot of work left to do. He'll have 2 in the 9th, and he will have the horse many think the one to beat coming up in the Lure in projected the morning line favorite, and more stakes action to come here on Saratoga Live.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Mastery retired undefeated, winning his 4 starts by a combined 20 lengths. A 6-figure September sale purchase, he won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe, running a 105 buyer and winning by open lengths. Mastery, new for 2018 at Claiborne Farm.
Saratoga Live. Good to have you with us on this Saturday afternoon. We just saw a sensational performance, but as much as this place is about the great racing, it's also about this tremendous town of Saratoga Springs. That's my coffee spot. Saratoga Coffee Traders, one of the best in town. Broadway, so much going on, so many great places to eat and have fun. And someone next to me who I believe has probably made a trip to Caroline Street in the past, Dave Portnoy, founder, El Presidente, of course, of Barstool Sports. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
We got the chance to visit with you last summer as well, so good to have you back.
Always fun.
I want to start first. What a performance we just saw from Voodoo Song, by the way.
Yeah, I had the 4. That was unbelievable. I thought he was going to fade. Probably everybody thought he was going to fade.
Yeah.
So good for him. I never. If you beat me, I don't like you. So, but it was a good performance. I'll tip my cap. Whatever.
I know how much you love Saratoga because we talked about it last summer. But tell us, for someone who's never been here, make the case. Why is it so special to come here to this place?
So I had my bachelor party here, and I've been coming since I was probably 14 with my dad. But if you've never been to the horses, you can do everything. So I'm fancy now. I'm in the owner's box section. It's very nice, fancy seat. But out in the lawn, you can bring your own beer in. You can drink a lot. It's a party atmosphere. And not only that, gambling. But then at night, I mean, like you said, Caroline Street, it's a party town. So, I mean, it's open till 4. It's a little bit of everything. It really has the best of everything you could possibly want. Whether you're a $2 guy out in the lawn or you're betting a lot inside, nice rest, it has everything.
You got to pace yourself when you come here because there's a lot to do, especially with the nightlife.
You got to be a veteran. You got to start slow.
I know you grew up going to Rockingham Park in New Hampshire with your dad.
Rockingham and Suffolk.
Okay.
Suffolk's trash, but yeah, Rockingham as well. I mean, Suffolk was trash.
Where'd the love affair? That's fine. Where'd the love affair though with horse racing start for you?
You know, I remember my dad betting like I want to say it was 49er.
Okay, wow.
And putting basically he won 49. He won the Derby, right? 49er. So he put. I'm right about that, correct?
No, 49er, no.
Who I'm thinking of a horse. Whatever. Some horse. I thought it was 49er. I'll fact check you. A Derby winner. He put like $20 bills in a draw, and we got to pick out. I was probably 10 since I was hooked. And like I said, I came with him here every year, father's trip, all the way, till a couple of years ago. He's still coming with me.
You had a story right before we came on the air. We may as well get it out now. Just get the bad mojo gone. You said you had a horrible story. I assume it's a betting story.
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to get it off your chest?
Yeah, it's one of the worst things that happens. So I have a buddy, shout out Ellie Imbernoni, great horse guy. We go to every major event together. I've bet every tip he's given me roughly for a decade straight. No lie. The 4th race today, I did not get his text. He gave me cold, 7-8. It was Cairo Cat over Teachable Moment. The 7 was 18-1. I did the math. It was $38,000 at my scale of what I would have won. I would have had 1,000 to win and the exacta 250 exacta box. I didn't get it till after. Someone else gave me the 7 at the window. My phone blew up. The second the 7 crossed the finish line, my heart sank. I knew it was him. I checked it. I could show you the text. 5 minutes before, 7-8 exacta. I will never get over that. For the rest of my life, I will never get over that.
Do you need a minute?
It's bad. This is the
incredible.
4th race. It's ruined I'm up today, and I feel like I'm down $1 million.
That's what I guess the part of the beauty of this game, the beats, we always remember the beats so much, but the stories like that, but we keep coming back. Why do we do it to ourselves?
18-1 in 10 years, we've never had an 18-1 on top of anything. So it's one of those stories. I don't know why we come back. I don't have the answer. It's probably not. It's like hitting a golf ball. Your last one, you nut it down the middle. You're like, oh, that felt great. I'll come back. That's kind of what this game is. You get one winner and you get the rush. Keep coming.
Why do you tell all your stoolies that why come to Saratoga? How are you going to get them all to become fans? What do we need to do in this game?
I mean, just watch. If you watch and even bet from $2 to $5 to $10. It's action. It's nonstop action. It's the fastest 2 minutes in sports, whatever you want to say. So if you like gambling, you have to do horses. And then here, I don't think people get Saratoga. If you don't like hardcore gambling, if you have buddies who aren't necessarily strict gamblers, it's still an unbelievable atmosphere. There's girls everywhere, very pretty girls, I may add. The nightlife is great. You can bring your own beer into the place. Where else can you do that? So again, I had my bachelor party here before I was doing Barstool. It was a separate life. So I can't speak highly enough about it. And there's a lot of places. A lot of places do it right. Here does it right. Keeneland does it right. There's some special tracks. Some don't do it right, and that may be the impression that some people get. It's like, oh, why would I? But if you go to the right places, the right tracks, it's the time of your life. It really is.
I got to say, you've adjusted to being a high roller, too. You are well-dressed for this place, one of the best on the grounds. Real quick, we got to go. Give us a pick for the next race because I know you looked at it.
Yeah, I got Storm Runner in the 9th, and I'm Mr. Cub in the 10th. So there you go.
Some prices. All right. Hey, great to visit with you again.
Thanks for having me.
I feel for you on that story.
It says I'm going to kill myself on my phone. I can show it to you.
We still got plenty of time to make it back. Ooh, that's a tough story. Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports joining us. He knows his horses, horse racing owner, and he can handicap as well. We're going to go to Maggie Wolfendale right now with the Paddock Reports brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Bayern for $15,000. Maggie?
Thanks, Greg. Dave could be a cheerleader for Saratoga, I would say, and I like the way he's thinking with Storm Runners. I'll get to him in a moment. But number 3, Mask, is turning back in distance from last being seen in the easy goer last time out, where he was the beaten favorite. And he's a horse that, yes, people had high hopes for. He was very promising when winning his debut back in October. But the thing is that he's a horse that physically never really went on or never really grew that much from 2 to 3. It's a good-looking type, but with that being said, less distance is better. So 7 furlongs, I like for Mask here, as he is coming in off what is another little bit of a layoff, but he does actually look very fit in here. So I think this is an ideal spot for Mask today. And then Storm Runner, he's one off of a layoff that is cutting back in distance too. Now, I saw him in the Fountain of Youth back at Gulfstream Park, and honestly, Promises Fulfilled won that day, but in the paddock, I really preferred Storm Runner. He is gorgeous. I mean, he is just beautifully put together. He has his copper penny coat to him, and Dale does have him looking pretty darn fit for this comeback, and this distance is 7 furlongs. I like it here, as this is a very exciting 2X going the 7 furlongs here on the main track. Stay tuned to Saratoga Live, because we will have it, a post parade, and a lot more coming up next.
Turning for home in front. Host of New York on the outside. California Chrome is third. Shared Belief laboring back to in fifth. 1 furlong to run. Bayern, host of New York. California Chrome on the outside. The 3 of them come to the wire. Bayern, host of New York. California Chrome. Here's the finish. Bayern holds on.
Back on Saratoga Live, the community outreach booth here at Saratoga today, hosting Take the Lead, launched by the New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association, finding homes for retired racehorses. Take the Lead partners with established aftercare programs, providing rehabilitation and retraining placements for thoroughbreds retiring from competition on the New York circuit. We got a very competitive 9th race coming up here. We're on the main track in this 9th, going 7 furlongs. And right now, Chad Brown, his other runner, the 3-year-old Mask, favored at 5-2.
Somebody stop me. Mask is trying to get his sort of act back together. He looked so promising late in his 2-year-old year and early as a 3-year-old. Some issues kept him off the track. The return to 7 furlongs can help him. I believe he's a horse that needs to be out in the clear, Tom.
Look, he needs to get back to that first race because he was anything that day. He ran huge.
Jim Carrey fans all over Mask here this afternoon. All right, so 7-2 on pattern recognition, also from the Chad Brown barn. But I thought another field, and maybe you guys disagree, but I thought you could make a case for just about everybody in here.
There are a number of players in this race. We'll see how it plays out. The early stages will be very important with Phi Beta Express going to lead. Pattern recognition has got to get himself a spot where he can maybe force the pace and get outside of that rival.
Well, that's where the pace lies, the top two, the 1 and the 2 horse.
We talked earlier about a little bit of second-itis for pattern recognition. Can he get over the hump here this afternoon, pick up the 3rd victory of his career? Here he is in the Silk Saklarovich stables, trained by Chad Brown with Luis Saez.
This is a horse that has run one fast figure after another, and he's lost some good horses, but the seconds are piling up.
Phi Beta Express sent out by Danny Gargan and Kendrick Carmouche in the irons.
We talked a little bit about the speed in this race. This horse runs his best race on the lead. Look for Kendrick to send from the gate. No one's better at it.
Here's the other Chad Brown runner, the 3-year-old son of Tappet, Mask with Javier Castellano.
Pivotal race for him to show he can get back to running fast and run a good race.
Robertino Diodoro off the claim with always a suspect, and David Cohen rides.
You say it right. He's stepping up off the claim. He's going to have to improve to get the money in this spot.
Hall of Famer Shug McGahee sends out breaking the rules for Phipps Stable with Manny Franco.
A promising horse who's run fast races in 2 of his 4 starts. Today is a day for him to try to break through.
Storm Runner taking some attention on the board. Junior Alvarado for Dale Romans.
Yeah, shortening up to 1 turn and off a layoff. Is this a get-ready race? The board says no. The board says he's ready.
And Spikes Sherrill sent out by Dallas Stewart with Ricardo Santana Jr.
I think he's a big overlay at 9-1, his longest shot on the board. Comes out of his career best effort and lost to a horse that came back that improved off of that win.
5-2 favorite, breaking the rules, the 3-year-old in those famous Phipps Stable Silks. We're going to look, though, at pattern recognition. Last time out, back on June the 10th, he had the lead going 7/8. This came at Belmont, and he would get caught late.
And he really had no excuse to lose, but he still ran a fast race in finishing second. Tom, I was talking to Chad Brown a bit about this last night, and I said what you got to do is hope for a sharp break. Force Phi Beta Express to go fast enough to create some separation so you can let that rival go and then drift to his outside. Easier said than done.
Easier said than done. Pattern recognition back on June the 10th here was just second best. That's the bottom line. Yep. So same condition, maybe first best today.
He has lost to some very good horses, and he is repeatedly running sensational figures,
And
speed
he's
figures.
really good looking. I was watching him in the paddock. He's a gorgeous horse.
Fans enjoying this sensational Saturday afternoon here at Saratoga. Right now, let's check in with Gabby Gaudet.
Thank you, Greg. And here in the box seats with Stuart Janney, who is, of course, the chairman of the Jockey Club and on the board of directors at the New York Racing Association. And tomorrow, you've got the annual Jockey Club Roundtable. For those of us who don't know what it is, tell us what it is and what are some of the topics that will be discussed.
Well, the other part of the title is on matters pertaining to racing, which is a pretty broad description. So we can talk about anything we'd like. What we do tend to talk about over the years has been, what are our opportunities? Where are we not doing a particularly good job? Where could we do a better job? We want to grow the sport. We want to protect the sport, the integrity of the sport. So in the past, we've talked a lot about medication reform. We've also talked about the need to be on television more. In fact, I think we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk about sponsoring more TV, so you're going to have to work longer hours for, I hope, less pay because we can't afford it. But
that doesn't sound fun.
It is important for us to be on TV, and what NYRA's done is leading the industry. We would like to sponsor a move to 100% high definition. You've already got high definition here, but a lot of places don't. About 50% of it's high definition now. We'd like it to be 100%. We can try to accomplish that. We began working with McKinsey long before the Supreme Court decision on allowing sports betting, but it was very much one of the topics. And so they're going to talk about sports betting tomorrow, which we perceive as an opportunity It's not without its dangers for racing, but it's really an opportunity. And McKinsey is a consulting company that's been employed by all the other leagues, so they know what's going on in basketball, football, baseball, etc. So I think that'll be interesting. Last year we talked about the need for race scheduling so races aren't on top of each other, giving bettors a better opportunity. And we're going to talk about that some more. We did a study this year. It proves that we were right. And we're going to try to set up a system where post times are adhered to and races are scheduled appropriately between the racetracks.
Sounds like some fascinating topics, and really looking forward to kind of catching up on what some of those topics and your conclusions on them. But shifting to a lighter note, obviously your family has been ingrained in the cloth of racing for decades upon decades. What are some of your favorite memories up here at Saratoga?
Coronado's Quest winning the Travers, that's pretty easy. And he barely won it, but he did win it. And of course, with Coronado's Quest, he was a little bit of he was a difficult horse to handle. And so, you know, usually a race is whatever, a minute and a half, and you're worried about it then. With him, you were worried about it for days in advance. And when it finally happened, it was a wonderful thing.
Oh, that's great stuff. Thank you so much, Stuart, for joining us here today, and thank you so much for all that you do for the sport.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Greg, back to you.
Gabby, thank you. Stuart Janney, of course, collected the Kentucky Derby back in 2013, part of Team Orb. As we take a look at the NYRA Bets late pick 5 follow along, it has been difficult to get these first two winners. We talked about how open these fields were. So much depth, and it looks like another field that is going to be difficult to get through here.
Yeah, I think race 11 is the only easy race on the pick 5 sequence, as it's now off the grass, and you're going to get all in that race if you're playing the pick 5.
Yeah, and pick 4 as well. If you're alive in the pick 4, you'll have all in that race off the turf. It'll be running 7 furlongs in the dirt. And let me just say, the one Dancing with Daffodils, who had been tough to be in the turf, it's going to be very difficult to be in the dirt. Maybe you'll get a fairer price than you would have.
Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale now, back to race 9.
Well, we just got to see Gabby with Stuart Janney. Let's talk about his cousin's horse and the Phipps own number 5, breaking the rules. I love the fact that Suga's being realistic with this horse and keeping him at sprint distances. He is every bit of a sprinter, though it'd be interesting to find him on the turf one day, but that's for another time. He looks great. I really like what I'm seeing from breaking the rules. I know it's Gabby's pick as well.
Well, it's the 3-year-olds against the older horses, and breaking the rules, one of those 3-year-olds, the 3, 5, and 6, tackling older company here.
Yes.
Loading up.
So you're just looking at this field, you got 7 horses loading up right now, and if the 1 and the 2 can make some pace happen here, what about an outsider like the 7 horse, Andy?
I think the outside horse we mentioned in the post parade for Dallas Stewart is a player near Spike Sherrill. This is a fascinating race. Pattern Recognition is the horse to beat in here, but there are, as you said, Greg, a lot of options here.
Spike Sherrill ran big last start, and that was at 7-8. It was at Churchill. Can he transfer that form here to Saratoga? There he is. Let's send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call. Race 9, Saratoga.
They're all in line. They're off. Spike Sherrill hopped in the air a bit at the break, but goes out with early speed in company with 5-8 Express and Pattern Recognition on the inside. So it's these 3 that take them up the backstretch just ahead of Storm Runner, who's away running in 4th position. Then Mask, who's down on the inside, followed by Always a Suspect, breaking the rules last up the backstretch. Up top, it's Pattern Recognition and 5-Beta Express together through a 22.56 first quarter mile. Spike Sherrill a length and a half off of them. Then it's Mask on the inside, Storm Runner between, break of another 2 to Always a Suspect, and breaking the rules is last, 6 lengths off of dueling leaders Pattern Recognition and 5-Beta Express, who take their duel into the far turn 2.5 lengths ahead of the others. And then it's Mask on the inside, who's just off the leaders, now running in 3rd. Storm Runner is 4th, Spike Sherrill wide in 5th. And then comes Always a Suspect, who's making progress on the inside. The trailer is breaking the rules. The half was 45.12. They're into the stretch. Phi Beta Express on the outside. Pattern Recognition. These are the two that arrive at the 8th pole. Still 1-2. And Always a Suspect is 3 lengths behind them and now third after an inside trip. It is Pattern Recognition, Phi Beta Express. Always a Suspect, still 3 lengths behind them. Pattern Recognition on the outside, Phi Beta Express. Pattern Recognition's gonna do it. Wins that long battle with Phi Beta Express. Always a Suspect was third, and breaking the rules was fourth in 122.71.
Pattern Recognition. So much for second-itis. This was a good performance.
It was indeed. It looked very similar to his Belmont race last time, where he was along the rail and battling for the lead. The difference being he was the best today. Hats off to Sias on that ride, as he really got him home with a lot of energy the last eighth of a mile with his hands.
It seemed like a different racetrack than we saw in some earlier races, or else this is a very, very fast time, which is possible. But, I mean, the 1 and 2, Pattern Recognition, as well as the second-place finisher in here, Phi Beta Express, they just ran around the racetrack together, and nobody could come close. And it's not like they weren't going at honest pace.
122-3 final time. Yeah, they were moving in here. Luis Saez now takes over sole possession of second place in the jockey standings with that victory, as well as his tremendous meet continues. But Pattern Recognition gets the job done. He had to fight off Phi Beta Express to get this done.
Phi Beta Express is a very talented horse, but distance was a question for him, and I think he passed that test and ran very well. But it was one of those sort of what we call, Tom, a merry-go-round race. Not taking anything away from Pattern Recognition, I'm a fan, but this race very much favored the horses that were in the front end. The way it was run, maybe they were just the best 2 horses.
I think they were the best 2 horses, and when it pertains to the 2-horse Phi Beta Express, you're looking at a horse that if it comes down to a dogfight at the end of the race, he's probably not going to win it. He likes to run him off his feet early and kind of keep that lead going.
1-2-4 finish, Pattern Recognition. Trainer Chad Brown meets leading trainer, collects another victory. 3 this afternoon, and he's got more work to do coming up. This horse right here, morning line favorite, projected. Up next in the Lure, trying to get his 4th career victory on turf coming up. He just was beat by a length to Voodoo Song, who we saw win the 4-star Dave last time out. The story of Lure and his trainer when we come back.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live, and here with winning jockey Luis Saez, who was aboard Pattern Recognition in race 9. And Luis, this horse showed a lot of guts today down on the inside, didn't he?
Yeah, that was a big battle, man. I was unbelievable, you know. He tried so hard. He got a little bit not good break because he jumped in the air, but he just find his good spot, you know. And when he came to the straight, he just battled and beat the other one.
How have you found, with all of the weather today, all of the rain, how the track has been maintained or changing throughout the day? Your thoughts on that?
Well, the dirt is pretty good, you know. The turf is a little bit not really good, but it's all right. Some horse like, some not. We got to keep trying, you know.
Absolutely. You're on Conquest Panthera in the next race in the Lure. What do you think about this horse stretching out to 2 turns today?
I think he's going to be all right. He's going to be in good spot. I really like him. I think he's going to show pretty good race, and hopefully he'll win the race.
We'll let you get changed. Congrats on this one.
Thank you so much.
All right, Luis Saez aboard Conquest Panthera coming up next.
Gabby, thanks. Yeah, double-digit odds on Conquest Panthera, who we will see coming up in the Lure. And what a tremendous meet he's having. Tied, actually. I misspoke. Luis Saez tied for second with Javier Castellano. Pattern Recognition, $6.50 for the victory, owned by Klarovich Stables. William Lawrence, trained by Chad Brown, who is having a monster meet today. Well, tomorrow we start the second half, but he's got a chance to maybe go after the record.
Got 23 wins on the 20th day, and he has one more race to maybe win another race. Obviously, big stuff at Arlington, too. Klarovich Stables, 11 wins now as the leading owner.
And if it was a fight, they'd stop it. He's so far in front of the rest of the field, Klarovich Stables and Bill Lawrence. But Pattern Recognition, got to comment on today possibly being a breakthrough race and getting him back to where he needs to be as far as being a sprinter. And he is one good-looking individual, so he's got the parts.
Well, he's going to have to step it up at some point because now he's won his non-winners at 2. So the going's going to get deeper. And he's run some fast races, and we'll see if he can compete against some tougher horses because it's going to get a lot tougher for him.
Naira Bets, late pick 5, follow along. $14 horse, $15 horse, and Pattern Recognition was not the favorite.
And just want to make sure people are clear. If you get through this next leg, you will hit, because the last race becomes it all. If a race is taken off the turf after the first leg has been run, or any leg has been run, that race becomes an all. You have to be protected. It's not fair. You bet it as a turf race. So you will win. If you hit through this leg and you're alive with 4 horses, you will have 4 winning tickets, no matter who wins the last. You don't have to win it.
That's the kind of multi-race wager I want to be in on.
It's kind of one we need to be in on these days, Greg.
Exactly the way it's been going for us. The Fasig-Tipton Lure, it is up next. You just heard from Luis Saez. He'll try and collect another win on Conquest Panthera. But Chad Brown, the meet's leading trainer, is going to have a rider aboard who's looking for his 4th winner this afternoon in Javier Castellano. Well, the Lure, of course, coming up next, named after the back-to-back winner of the Breeders' Cup Mile for Shug McGahee. Lure was inducted in the Hall of Fame back in 2013. Here's the story of his trainer and a partnership that helped him land in the Hall 9 years earlier.
I am Shug McGahee.
Orb has won the Kentucky Derby for Shug McGahee.
And I am a trainer. I never really was a big guy in school. I never did really catch on to that part of it. But when I went to the track, I was seeing all this new stuff every day. You know, I never wanted to leave. You know, I'd get there in the morning, I wanted to stay all day. I wanted to be there when the blacksmith was there, the vet was there, and I was just a hot walker at that time. But I was fascinated by the whole thing. I had quite a few horses. I had them at 2 or 3 different places, and I wasn't comfortable with that. I made up my mind that I was going to try to get maybe the best 15 or 20 I had and come to New York and then try to build up around that. You know, then I got the phone call from the Phippses. He said, when are you going to be back in New York when we can talk? And I was back for the Jockey Club Gold Cup, which I'm going to say was October the 5th, 1985. You know, I was petrified, and I was going to meet this icon of not only society, but of horse racing and this and that. And, you know, I was just some little guy from Kentucky.
It's Van Landingham in front.
Well, then I won the Gold Cup that afternoon. He presented the trophy. So, you know, like the first of the week and stuff, we came to terms and just sort of evolved from that.
To the 16th of a mile from the wire. Winning Colors is there. Personal Instant, a dramatic finish, and here is the wire, and it is Personal Instant there with Winning Colors.
Great race. I thought she'd hopefully could beat the 3/8 pole. It shows what a good filly she is to be able to overcome it and win.
I can't remember about the pressure, but I know we got back up here and everything went right.
Easy Goer gets clear by 4. Sunday Silence remains in second.
He loved this racetrack with the big turns.
It's New York's Easy Goer in front.
And then not everything went right with Sunday Silence. It not only gave me my first Classic winner, but it also gave Mr. Phipps his, so it was quite a thrill. Inside Information was a filly that always surprised me because it was heavily prized at the same time.
The response was devastating. Inside Information. Wow, look at this! A colossal victory! And Heavenly Prize, her stablemate, will be second.
Lure was an exceptionally talented and exceptionally fast horse. We took him down to Florida for the Breeders' Cup, and he was there for like 2 weeks. And it was just every day he was getting better and better. And when I saw him in the paddock that day at Gulfstream, I said, my God, look at this.
Lure running a huge race this afternoon. He's in front by 4. Look at this time. He destroyed the track record. 1 minute 32 and 4/5 seconds. What an effort by Lure.
I always thought I would like to win the Kentucky Derby and get it over with so I didn't have to worry about it anymore. But I would have never, if I'd have won it in the 80s, you know, it would not have meant as much to me as it did when I did win it.
Orb has won the Kentucky Derby for Shug McGee.
Like Lynn Whiting told me, he said, Shug, it doesn't wash off, and he's right. It doesn't wash off. Sometimes I'll be thinking, I can't believe I won the Derby. Hold on, Angel. Don't go anywhere. And there it was, knocking on the door.
What an incredible career for Shug McGahee. So many greats he's trained, including this one right here, Lure. Back-to-back wins in the Breeders' Cup Mile in 92 and 93. Actually began his career on dirt. He was on the Triple Crown Trail for a while when he won the Gotham. Switched to turf, and the rest was history.
I broke a track record, I believe, or set a track record in his maiden race going 5 furlongs to the dirt.
How about the Gotham? They go like the opening half mile, like 44 for the opening half, and he and Delva's Dew went around there and dead heated. That was an incredible race.
That was one of the greatest throwdowns since affirmed in Alydar. I mean, I can still remember being at Aqueduct for that race. Lure was a sensational, great racehorse.
2013 Hall of Fame inductee, and the race named in his honor. Fasig-Tipton Lure, of course, coming up next at Shug McGahee. The oh so sweet to win this race, named after Lure, and Inspector Lindley, he'll try and do it. A horse who's 5-2 on the board right now, the 3.
Bad news for Inspector Lindley. He's carrying a lot of weight on him.
Yeah, an unlucky loser last time, Inspector Lindley in the Wise Dan at Churchill Downs. Had to wait for room, tried to come through on the inside. I think that race puts him right where he needs to be with what I think is going to be legitimate pace in here from the rest of the field.
Couldn't you argue he was flattered by Divisadero's third-place finish in the 4-star Dave earlier today?
Absolutely, right? Yeah, you say, look, he comes from off the pace. He's going to need pace.
And he'll get it.
To make that charge. Hey, who's going to set the pace for him here?
Well, maybe the 2 black type. What about
Mr.
the 5?
Cub.
Mr. Cub wants to be a part of that. Even Forge, the 6 horse, coming off those 7/8 races in one turn, could show some speed today.
And look who's aboard. Jose Lezcano, who just won the Grade 1 4-star Dave, leading the way on Voodoo Song. Now he's going to try and come from off the pace to get the job done here in the Fasig-Tipton Lure. Favorite, though, is projected here in this spot coming up for trainer Chad Brown, who's having a huge afternoon. He's having a huge meet. And we talked about all his depth he had coming into the Saratoga meeting, primed and ready to retake that mantle as the top trainer at the meet, and he is making it happen here in 2018. More stakes action ahead when we come back here on Saratoga Live. The Fasig-Tipton Lure is next. Stay tuned.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb was the leading freshman sales sire of weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds. On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including stakes winners Autumn Warrior and Orvolution, stakes performer Scrapper, and TDN Rising Star Explorer. In the sales ring, his progeny continue to sell well beyond his stud fee, including the $1 million co-sale topper at Saratoga. Classic winner, classic pedigree, Orb, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome to Saratoga Live. And there is a look at back-to-back winner of the Breeders' Cup Mile Lure, the homebred campaign by Claiborne Farm. Race named in his honor. Coming up next here on this Saturday in Saratoga Springs, our show presented by Claiborne. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Great to have you with us. For those just joining us, those on Fox Sports 2, thank you for spending part of your Saturday afternoon with us. We have a very good stakes race coming up here tomorrow, 16th on the turf. Greg Wolf alongside Andy Serling, trainer Tom Amos. And it's been a big day so far for trainer Chad Brown. He has a horse to beat coming up in Projected in the Lure.
He does. And Projected is a horse who's obviously talented enough to win this race. But he's a horse to me that, Tom, seems to kind of fail to get it done. But on the other hand, he almost overcame a slow pace to beat a horse named Voodoo Song in his last race, and he's having a big day, Voodoo Song.
Yeah, he had a very big day indeed. And Projected, this race was originally scheduled for the 4th. It got canceled due to weather. Projected was not one of the entries that day, so he's a new addition to what is going to be a different lure stake than would have been on the 4th.
Interestingly enough, Chad Brown had another horse entered in here, Ticonderoga. He won an allowance race we showed a little bit earlier this week, but it's not bad when you've got a barn where you can call an audible and run a horse like Projected. Who's the favorite?
It's incredible how much depth Chad Brown has. He is the meet's leading trainer. He's having an outstanding day, an outstanding meet. We're going to hear more about this entire field coming up right now as we check in. In just a moment here with Maggie Wolfendale, she's going to bring us a paddock report here, but 5-2 on projected for Juddmonte Farms. Chad Brown, Javier Castellano rides, has 3 wins already today. But there's a lot of intriguing runners in this field as we take a look at the current odds, including a horse coming off a long layoff in Zenner.
Tough to win back-to-back runnings of a stake a year apart with no race in between. But, Tom, Zenner's going to do just that, and the public likes him, as of now at least.
Yeah, well, look, when he was in form last year, he was very difficult to beat, won 4 of his last 5. But here he is, a 6-year-old coming off that year layoff. We've talked about it before from a trainer's standpoint. The older horses get and the more they develop body-wise, the harder they are to get fit off the layoff when they come back to the races.
There he is, the gray son of Medaglia d'Oro. He beat projected in this race last year. Now he's trying to go back-to-back without any race in between. That is a tall order.
It is, and this is a very difficult field. I'm going to argue this is a tougher field than last year. And Projected was in that field, but Black Type, the redraw of this race really helped him. He had an outside post when we were supposed to run it last week. Now he gets a good 2-post, and he's going to like a little give in the ground. Inspector Lindley, our horse, Tom, he drew much better as well drawing the 3-post.
He did. And what about pace, Andy? We talked a little bit about it earlier. Black Type from that inside position. Does he sit in the pocket, or do you think he goes?
Christophe Clement, I've talked to him about this horse, feels he's a much better horse with a target. So he's likely to sit the pocket behind Mr. Cub. And I think the 6 Forge probably sitting outside of him. And Forge, an interesting horse, guys. He's got that every other pattern going. 100 buyer, 94, 101. 83, 105, 80s, 101, 80s. He's due to run a big one today, guys.
And he's the only other horse in this field that was not originally entered in this particular race. Came back a week later, entered. Look, he's been freshened, hasn't run since June. You look at some of his springtime races, they are very, very good.
Talking about the 6 Forge, due for a big one if that pattern continues. Time for a paddock report now. We're going to go to Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, standing Curlin for $150,000.
Thank you, Greg. And Zenner here. Everybody's going back to the defending champion of this Lure Stakes, and he is coming off a pretty much nearly year to the day layoff. Now, he could be the poster child of why you should geld horses and why you might have more success when doing so, because once they gelded this horse, it really allowed that body mass to lighten up, and therefore making him become hopefully a more sounder horse. Obviously, he has his issues, but I'm sure the fact that he is a little bit lighter overall helps him get back to the races. And with that being said, he does look fit enough here. For a Kieran McLaughlin horse coming off the bench, I like what I see from him. And he has run successfully off the bench before, but I think he's really dealing with some serious competition here, and a horse that has a recency, has a recent win as well, and looks as though he's thriving is number 2 in here, Black Type for Christophe Clement. As you heard Andy say, he likes a course with some give in it, so he's going to appreciate the going here today at Saratoga. And guys, I don't think I've ever seen him look this good in the paddock.
Maggie, before we let you go, congratulations in order. Apparently, you just had a very big win out at Arlington.
I know. Thank you so much. It was amazing. I'll be honest, I probably have only looked at those 2 horses here in the paddock because I was celebrating the Grade 1 victory by Carrick. Huge upset there in the Secretariat, guys. $77. Can't say I had any money on him, though, but I'll take a win for the home team.
Oh, he ran great in here. I mean, he beat Analyze It, who's a monster, and they were way in front of the rest of the field. This was not a lucky win. This was a great win, Maggie. Congratulations.
Light on experience, but long on talent. Showed it today.
Incredible performance. Carrick, huge price in the Grade 1 Secretariat. 3-year-olds on the turf on Arlington Million Day. As big a stage as it gets in horse racing. That is incredible. Back to our race here, the Fasig-Tipton Lure, and there is a look at Shug McGahee's Inspector Lindley for the Phipps Stable and Stuart Janney.
Yeah, this is one that Tom and I are a big fan of. And if you watch the race he was in last time, when Mr. Cub was able to cut a very slow pace, Inspector Lindley had the worst kind of trip for a closer. He wants to angle out and get in the clear. That's what a closer wants to do. Jose Ortiz, they shut the door on him, and he had to go to plan B, which is duck inside, and it kind of mutes the closing kick. A, it takes away the momentum, but B, they don't rally as cleanly inside a horse as Tom. He was unlucky this day, and I'm hoping he's lucky today.
Yeah, Andy talked about pace in that race, and it was very, very mild for Inspector Lindley to finish as well as he did against what was a very soft pace set by a participant in this race, the 5-horse Mr. Cub. he ran very, very well.
Isn't Zenner supposed to be forwardly placed in this race as well, too, from the outside post? I mean, I can't imagine they're going to take him way back from that post.
Well, look, freshness oftentimes leads to horses being fairly aggressive out of the gate, but it's not Zenner's style to be on or near the lead.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how fast they're going.
There, meanwhile, look at Forge for Bill Mott with Julien Leperoux, and he just ran up in Woodbine. Face Conquest Panthera. How does he get it done today?
You know, he gets it done because he's in a good stalking position. The pace is moderate, and he runs his good race. And the pattern says he's supposed to run his good race. But I will say one thing, pattern or not, his last race was not good, Tom.
Yeah, but the freshening has got to have something to do with this. Mott is so good at knowing when to bring horses back. I love his springtime races, and I look for him to run big here.
And on a yielding course here on closing day last year, he finished second to a horse named Heart to Heart. He may not have run well today, Heart to Heart, but he's a darn good horse.
Multiple Grade 1 winner. I got to say, Forge made a tremendous appearance as well. He just moves by us here in the paddock area. You can keep playing on NYRA Bets out on the West Coast. There's great racing at Del Mar. Just getting started. Use your NYRA Bets account to split 250,000 points without even hitting a ticket. Just bet a $10 base exacta in race 5 at Del Mar, and you're going to split 250,000 points up for grabs. Head to NYRABets.com and place your wager. 9 minutes to post here coming up in this Fasig-Tipton Lure, and it's just a pretty safe way to go with a horse like this out of the Chad Brown barn, the kind of meat he's been having, the kind of year he's been having.
I don't disagree with that, Greg, but he's just not the kind of horse that seems to be sealing the deal in a lot of these races. And to me, as well as he's run, he keeps coming up with excuses. I just don't want him as the favorite. Not that he can't win.
Yeah, give him some credit for his last race, Andy.
He ran very well.
They did not go that quick on the front end, and he was able to close well.
Here he is, Javier Castellano, looking for his 4th winner this afternoon.
He has not been able to win a graded stake, I don't believe, yet in this country, but he's run well almost every time he hit the track. I was wrong again.
At Laurel, he did get a grade, too. Black type at 8-1. Manny Franco, Christophe Clement for Jump Sucker Stable.
This is a talented horse, but my opinion, I think he's better at 1 turn than 2.
Inspector Lindley for Shug McGahee, Jose Lezcano rides.
He had trouble in his last race and still ran well behind a slow pace to finish second. Think he's a very tough, honest horse, and he gets the money today.
Mr. Cub brings speed to the party for Ian Wilkes. Chris Landeros rides.
Mr. Cub is going to try to wire the field in the front end, but he had every advantage to do it out of town last time. Could he take his act to New York?
Here is Forge for Juddmont Farms, trained by Bill Mott with Julien Leperoux.
Well, we've talked about this horse, and I think he is a live long shot off the freshening with a trainer that knows how to win.
Conquest Panthera, sent out by Mark Cassie and Luis Saez rides.
Speaking of horse that might be better a little shorter in around 1 turn, is he good enough to beat these at 1 1/16? But he's plenty talented.
And the 9, Zennery won this race last year. He has not been seen since for Kieran McLaughlin with Joe Bravo.
Very tough spot for him to come back off a year layoff and win, and awfully short price to do it.
Let's check in with Gabby Gaudette now with an update from the Saratoga Handicap Challenge.
Thanks, Greg. Here again in the NYRA Bet Simulcast Center with the leader on the board, Dave Nichols. Before we get into your strategy and how the day's been going, you got to talk about your shirt. 40-star Dave.
So at first I thought it was a little sacrilegious because 4-Star Dave is my favorite racehorse of all time. But my wife got me this for my 40th birthday in February, and I was proud to wear it. And I felt like for the 4-Star Dave contest I had to wear it, and it's been bringing me good luck. So pretty happy so far today, and hopefully I can last 2 more races. So.
And it's green, like money, also maybe a good sign. But you have a lead. You're at $14,000. What was kind of your strategy going into today?
Well, my general strategy in live bankroll contests is try to run away and hide, and sometimes that means you end up with 0 really quickly. But I played a big double, and it was a horse I didn't even really have on my radar because it was a grass race. It was taken off the grass. But he went off at long odds, and it looked like a tiring track, and he was the only horse that had gone the distance of all of them in the race. And he hung on, and then I had to get the second leg of it. And that was a little easier. I was yelling for the jockey to just don't fall off the horse. But he won by open length, so that was a relief. And now I'm hoping that these last two will go my way.
All right, well, best of luck. We'll let you sit down and watch this race. You're with your family, so best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Greg, there he is sporting 4-Star Dave, his favorite horse, and he's got to get a little bit of good luck, right? It's called the 4-Star Dave Challenge.
I would think so. Any little edge you can get, and that's brave of him to come on camera because horse players are superstitious people. You don't want to mix up anything. If it's been going well for you, rooting them home here.
But when you wear a shirt like that, I think you want to get as much camera time as you can.
Or a tie like that.
My tie's better than yours today.
Well, the 4-Star Dave, that was... I like your tie, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I was
well
complimenting
dressed,
him.
you guys.
I was absolutely complimenting my good friend Andy.
Our feature race today was the 4-Star Dave, one of the great fan favorites here of all time. It happened just a little bit earlier for those joining us on Fox Sports 2 who did not get to see it. We're going to show it to you now, and a horse now is becoming a fan favorite as well after this performance. Let's take a look. The 4-Star Dave from just a little while ago here at Saratoga.
They're off in the 4-Star Dave. Made You Look came out running with Voodoo Song and Heart to Heart between those two. And now Heart to Heart and Voodoo Song go at it early, and Made You Look will sit back in third. Yoshida follows in fourth as they make their way into that turn. And then saving all the ground is Delta Prince and Divisi Darrow at the back of the field, 7 lengths off of spa-loving Voodoo Song, who scampers off to lead by 3 lengths onto the backstretch. Heart to Heart will allow him to do it and sit back as they head to the backstretch in 23.53 seconds. A separation of 4 more lengths back to Made You Look, who's third and already 8 lengths behind Voodoo Song up the backstretch. Then an unhurried Yoshida, Delta Prince, and Divisi Darrow. Voodoo Song motoring along here. He's opened up a 5-length lead halfway up the backstretch in the 4-Star Dave. Heart to Heart continues to pursue, well behind, now 4.5 lengths off of Voodoo Song, who went 46.89 for a half mile. Yoshida's getting closer with Made You Look. Yoshida's going to have to wait, though, for some running room on the inside. Delta Prince is next, and Divisi Darrow, and they're all coming after Voodoo Song now. The lead is down to 1.5 lengths. Heart to Heart comes under pressure. Made You Look is there with Delta Prince. A wide run for Divisi Darrow. Yoshida still last at the top of the stretch. Voodoo Song turning for home in front, trying to fend off the competition. Made You Look is coming with Delta Prince. Divisi Darrow on the outside. Voodoo Song is still there. Here comes Delta Prince. Delta Prince on the outside of Voodoo Song. Divisi Darrow finishing down the center of the course. Voodoo Song digs in. Delta Prince can't get by. Is he going to do it? He is! Voodoo Song won the 4-Star Dave. He's a Grade 1 winner.
Incredible performance from Voodoo Song, who won 4 races in a span of just 42 days here at this meet last summer and became a sensation. He gradually stepped up and up in class, and now he's got a Grade 1 win.
Just a great moment today at Saratoga with Voodoo Song winning. What a nice horse, Tom.
And what a deserving Grade 1 win. He did all the dirty work on the front end and was able to fight off every single challenge to hang on and win. I'm a fan.
I know 4-Star Dave did it over 8 years, winning all those races here at Saratoga, but Voodoo Song, he basically did it all in one summer. Now he's back for more, and his best win yet he saved for 2018. He has become a superstar runner. We're going to take a look at the Saratoga Showdown standings right now. This is a contest you can play each and every day on our show without risking any of your own money. You're playing for real prizes. That includes a Belmont Stakes prize package for 2019. This is our final race coming up in the sequence here, and it is wide open still.
I got to tell you, some impressive totals up there. I mean, you've got, what, 6 people that are basically hovering around 300 or above it. That's pretty strong.
Good job by all just to get on that top 10. So one more race to come. You can get involved by going to NYRA.com/showdown to compete for those points and that prize package as we look at the NYRA Bets late pick 5 follow along. Pattern recognition wins that third leg of the sequence. Everyone getting that last race home because it was taken off the turf. So no matter who you have in that last race, the 11th, you get it. So if you hit this 10th,
you're home.
You hit the NYRA Bets late pick 5.
Right, and keep in mind, if you've got 4 horses in the last race and you're alive, you'll get 4 winning tickets. So you won't have to get the last. And we do that because it's fair. The public bet that pick 5, believing the race was going to be run in the grass. The race was subsequently taken off the turf after the sequence had started, and we want to do what's most fair for our customers.
We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale for more now on this Fasig-Tipton Lure.
Thanks, guys. I've been able to watch some of these horses warm up here, and the likely speed horse is number 5, Mr. Cub here, with jockey Chris Landeros aboard, who is trainer Ann Wilkes' son-in-law, and he got a nice warm up. Come on, Jaeger, one away from the pony, in which obviously that's what we look for with horses that will be used early. Now, a horse that is just always nervous, that I just want to tell people that he is always like this, is number 7, Conquest Panthera. I do think he's a little bit better, a little shorter than a mile and a 16th. He always gets washed out, as we see Louis Saez kind of scraping the sweat off him there. That's just him. So nothing out of the ordinary with Conquest Panthera, guys. They are on the turf course and heading into the gate.
Just me, or did Maggie sound a little more energetic for that report?
I think she's perked up a little bit. I could be wrong. I don't know what it is, but it feels like she's in a very good mood.
That's what a Grade 1 win will do for you. So they load up here for the Fasig-Tipton Lure, and it's projected. Again, beat in this race last year. There's Maggie. Going to be celebrating tonight with her husband with that performance over Arlington Million Day.
As they should. And that is a giant win. That really is.
Projected. Going to be coming from off the pace here in this spot with a little bit of give in the course. Does that help or hurt him?
I think it helps him because he's going to get some pace up front. I really think that the 2 Black Type, the 5 Mr. Cub, and the 6 Forge are all going to be part of an early pace scenario that can set it up for someone to close.
Javier Castellano looking for his 4th win this afternoon. He is on the 1 projected. It's the Fasig-Tipton Lure. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Here comes Zenner up to the outside stall, completing the line here, and they're all in line. They're off in the Fasig-Tipton Lure. And it is Mr. Cub, Forge, and Conquest Panthera all out for the lead, and Black Type joins them from the inside. Then Projected, followed by Zenner, and Inspector Lindley is last of them all as Mr. Cub banks into that first turn in front by a length and a half. With Forge running in 2nd position. On the far outside, Zenner goes up, and Black Type will sit 4th along the inside. 2.5 lengths off the lead heading to the backstretch. Then Conquest Panthera, followed by Projected and Inspector Lindley. 24.27 was the opening quarter mile. Mr. Cub up top leads the way by a length. Zenner is 2nd on the outside. And then comes Black Type running in 3rd, saving all the ground as they will head for the far turn. Forge is 4th and moving up. Conquest Panthera next, followed by Projected, and Inspector Lindley is 6 lengths off the lead after a 48.32 half mile. Mr. Cub heads into the far turn in front. The leader by 3/4 of a length as they make their way into the turn. And there goes Zenner up alongside, and Forge between those 2. And now the 3 of them do battle on the far turn with Black Type a length and a half off of them. Conquest Panthera next, Projected on the inside. Inspector Lindley is 5 from the top as they come toward the top of the stretch. Forge and Zenner. Zenner and Forge turning for home together. Conquest Panthera is closing the gap on the outside. Mr. Cub is given way. Black Type needs to find room. Here's Inspector Lindley on the far outside. Side 2, wide open at the furlong pole. Here's Inspector Lindley from last to first, and Projected follows him, trying to make a late bid on the outside. Conquest Panthera's there toward the inside, but it's Inspector Lindley in the Fasig-Tipton Lure. To beat Projected, Conquest Panthera, and Forge was 4th in 1:43.3.
Named after a horse that was trained by Shug McGahee. It's going to feel real nice. Shug gets the win with Inspector Lindley. And Jose Lezcano, when the 4-star Dave, collects a win here as well.
And really, it all came with the pace that we got to watch early in the race. Andy, they were rolling up front for Inspector Lindley. It just happened to go the right way for him. Come around, you're going to get home first.
You got to look at Stuart Janney there, and owns Inspector Lindley in the winner's circle soon here and getting his picture taken.
Got to be a lot of luck, you know, to come on Saratoga Live, right? Stuart came on. He gets the win. Congratulations to him. And he's a little sluggish early. I'd love to start the break and see if he sort of broke slowly or he just dropped right back. But great patient ride by Jose Lezcano with him. You know, he was patient. He wasn't worried. Sitting in the 2-path, he kept the runner-up kind of locked in a little bit in there, Projected, and he was able to hold him off when he got clear. Excellent race by him and an excellent ride by Jose Lezcano. And congrats to Shug as well.
Tremendous performance here in Inspector Lindley. Getting the job done, multiple stakes winner already, and now he's 2 for 2 on this turf course at Saratoga.
Well, he got a much-deserved stake win. I think it might have been the Saranac. Was that late in his career? I'll see if it's in front of us. When he's a horse that's been unlucky in a lot of races, and sometimes the deep closers, Tom, are unlucky, but today, Jose did a great job of getting him out in the clear, and that's where you want to be.
Yeah, I think it's actually the right place on the turf course, particularly when the pace is fast. Don't get tangled up in what's happening inside of you. You got a lot of horse? Go around. We see it a lot here.
Usually when you have a Chad Brown runner, not to mention one who's the favorite in the race, trying to run you down, you don't feel all that secure. But Inspector Lindley this time had the extra punch down the lane.
He kept Projected locked in for just long enough.
Inspector Lindley, the victory. There's a photo for place. We'll make this official when we come back on Saratoga Live.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on Saratoga Live, Inspector Lindley, Shug McGahee, Stuart Janney, the Phipps Stable, and Jose Lizcano. Your winners of the Fasig-Tipton Lure.
So that's him on the outside there. Let's watch the second place horse Projected being ridden by Javier Castellano. Looks like he just has a little trouble controlling him. He's going to pull him out here. That's him in the with the white face in third right now. Just can't get him started and going straight. They just have to stop right there. Just doesn't get a good run at the leader.
Yeah, and that's very fair, Tommy. He's lugging in briefly there, but a lot of this was Jose Lizcano keeping him in a package inside of him the whole way.
And he did indeed, but he's going to come out here. This should be a very good view. He's going to be widest of all. I want to see what he does when he gets outside.
White blaze
right
on his
through
face.
Here.
Pink cap.
So he's running. Looks like he's a little hopping up and down a little bit there.
Kind of weird. He's not lugging in at all. He's not lugging in at all. Don't know the situation, but you know the way Jose Lizcano was sort of lapped on him at around the 3/8 pole, and he waited to make his move. He didn't want to let Projected get out, and he really understood the Projected's the horse I got to beat, so I've got him in a little bit of a jackpot. Let me keep him there as long as I can, and he did that, and that may have made a big difference.
And as far as Projected goes, maybe a horse that hangs a little bit, and they try to wait that long to let him go.
That was Shug McGahee you saw there in the winner's circle. Had that nice piece on him earlier in the show, who was the trainer of those back-to-back Breeders' Cup miles with Lure. Now he gets the race named after that horse with Inspector Lindley. There he is, and he's got plenty of questions to answer after this nice performance.
He does, and he's with Naira's Naja Thompson as well, asking the questions. Naja doing a fine job for us.
So let's take a look at this Naira Bets Late Pick 5 follow-along. Everyone again getting this last race because it was taken off the turf. So if you have any horse in this last race, whoever you have, $443.50 payout.
Yeah, so if you're alive with 5 horses, you're going to get yourself over $2,000.
I mean, that's a heck of a payout when you look at those prices. I mean, $443, nothing paid more than $15. They're all very logical.
Want to remind everybody still, and there's a nice look at Shug right there. What a career he has had, the Hall of Famer. Still one more race to come here. We are going to be signing off here in a moment or two, though, but you can see what happens and how this card plays out on the NYRA Now app. See what happens there in race 11. Again, taken off the turf. Catch it on the NYRA Now app or at nyrabets.com.
I love the NYRA Now app. I do.
It's
I love
fantastic.
it. The other day, I had to run home for a minute, and I was going to miss a race. Had the NYRA Now app. I watched the race as I was walking home.
I watch Saratoga live when I'm not doing the show. I watch it every time. I do, indeed.
Do you notice?
I set it up in my barn, and I watch it while I'm working.
Do you notice how much better it is when you're not on it?
Well, actually, I noticed in HD, you come across... Never mind, I'm not going to say it.
Feel free. Go ahead. Hey, we're back at 4 Eastern Time tomorrow, everywhere. So be sure to check us out. We will see you then. Looking forward to it. How about this performance? Voodoo Song just keeps on overachieving. Went 4 for 4 at this meet last summer in just a span of 42 days. Now he's a Grade 1 winner. What a performance in the 4-star Dave. We will see you on Sunday, everyone.